Hello guys, this is Jerry speaking. Welcome to this film that you are about to see called QWERTY. Now in 2010, this film got me into writing something using my Alpha Smart in high school. And this film was an introduction I had to write, and that got me into doing things. So, this is a film where I decided to make history behind the name QWERTY. And this is a documentary I'm gonna make based off of his own life and from the 1860s through the present. So without further ado, let's get to a story how QWERTY was made, shall we? See what we got. I was first introduced to the television sets first when I was 2 years old. And that was the first time I had the time to be part of this whole technology business. And since then, I have watched Sesame Street, Barney the Dinosaur, Teletubbies, The Big Comfy Couch, Ben the Big Blue House, Roly Poly, Out of the Box, PB&J and so many other shows like this.
Boom!
It is Disney!
God damn. Wow. I could have sworn Doug was on Nickelodeon.
And you know, that was my childhood favorite shows before I get the game shows a year later. Wheel and Jeopardy before I decided to quit in 2016. Because of Carl Hershon incident. Before I went to Miss Carey's class. And that was the thing that Miss Carey loves the most, in which, even though she wanted me to watch some things while I was sleeping in the, whatever you call it, they are playing We Sing, Train, and other tapes like that. And you know, that was just me, and pretty cool stuff right there, so there you go. Before I introduced the computer, when I was only 5. Now, that was a time when I had dial-up, so that happened to get me to AOL and that sort of thing. So it went bye-bye me, and in between those type of things, I used to play computer games. That, at the time, I didn't record them, so I don't know how to press record at that time, so there you go. And since then, I was first sitting down on my old computer chair, which is right here. You see, this is a computer chair that, seen here, that was a kitchen chair, and we look at it now, 2 decades later. This is a still a computer chair to me, and I'm still loving it today. And this is part of the kitchen, and this here is one of my favorite computer chairs of all time. I could retire the computer chair most of the time, so there you go. Ever since, and that's when dial-up internet exists back then. That's what I mentioned before. Then December 2003, my mom was teaching me how to record TV. That's how I first started recording JoJo's Circus and other shows like this. My favorite shows of all time. Playhouse Disney and PBS. One of my favorite shows would be tapes of all time. So I finally did. Meanwhile, he saw cable that following spring of 2004. So I recorded Stars first before I get to Toon Disney, because I loved to get interest in Toon Disney at the time. So that was my childhood dream. So there you go. And what he got was his childhood dreams for the Toon Disney days came true. Now, Toon Disney, when I first started, for my childhood icons, like Recess, Lloyd in Space, Weekenders, and other shows like this, those are my favorite childhood shows. Even Timo Supremo go, Baza! Tipa! Woo-ha! What do we call it? Timo Supremo! And that's one of my favorite childhood shows. And the Tarzan and other shows like that. You know. And some of my childhood favorite shows of all time, you know. I love these shows, and don't get me wrong, because they're my childhood favorites. You know, that's just me. Before long, he got his first DVD player in that following year, the following summer. And that was my first experience with DVD at that time. When I first played Soccer Dog, the movie, and one other movie that and that SpongeBob DVD that I couldn't be able to play at that time. So there you go. Those are my experiences with playing DVDs, the first experience with DVDs at that time. Meanwhile, in the winter of 2005, he got bored of cable, so he switched to Comcast to DirecTV. Now, that was the first experience with DirecTV that time. Simply because satellite was in the mix. So, you have difficulty, yeah. Man, it doesn't shut up, anyway. Then in the summer of 2006, when YouTube still came about, before established by Google at the time. That's cool enough, because that was a first experience with YouTube. His parents offer him the internet bill, which thus it ends my dial-up days. Now, I couldn't be able to do anything with AOL, but internet bill got me inspired to do Bell software account. And that's why I use another internet software called YouTube. So there you go. Which what is a website, by the way. Oh, so I have to rub my nose a little bit, but anyway. From the start, the beginning of Ellis from Such Club Days was born. On his 11th birthday, he got his first video camcorder, and that's me. And I got a film for the first time when I was 11 years old. The first one I had is a VHS camcorder, and that's a good thing. So when I tape videos when I was only 11, so I filmed the tape I recorded with my dad, and that was my very first video with my dad at the time. Then a few days later, he got his first audio cassette recorder. That was a good thing, because I recorded most of the tapes using these seen here under there, so I'm not saying orange jokes, but anyway. That was a good thing when I record these tapes, and even though it's so silly to see it, but there you go. One of my nostalgia feelings, but anyway. Then in the fall of that year, his first cassette computer stopped working. Now, it's a Windows 98, and I get that, but I wanted to see what it looks like Windows XP. But yeah, thank you. I don't have time for the Windows Me at the time, but that didn't happen at the time, and thank God that's over. But there you go. And thus the establishment of the company was born on late February of 2007, when the filming approach. Ellis Such Club was established for making films, TV shows, and so much more. Now, this is a lot of hard work for me to make Ellis Such Club, and it's in the mix, so there you go. That following July was the birth of my career on YouTube. Now, this is a huge success for me. And then again, it was a huge career for me for nearly 13 years on YouTube. It was successful. 12 and a half years on YouTube. There is nothing wrong with it. I still love it to this day. It's just so much trolls. Meanwhile, in late 2007, he uploaded his first YouTube chat video that is called My Broken Arm Story. Now, this Broken Arm Story is a video that I made up. So there you go. That was a huge establishment for me. There's going to be a lot of explaining to do in my 13th anniversary documentary, and then we hit some other times. So there you go. However, there was a lot of computer typewriter piece of work for this film. Without making this technology for us such quote, we wouldn't be there, and I won't be there the same way. So I hope you enjoy this film as much as I am. Exactly. This film was a huge success film. So there you go. So anyway, let's move on to chapter 1. And we'll move on to the others after these commercial breaks, shall we? See what we got. This whole making technology thing began in the early 1870s, late 1960s. Created and developed by Christopher Graham Scholes. That was a weird name, but anyway. A newspaper editor and printer who lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Way to pronounce this with a city name, but anyway. In October of 1867, Scholes filed patent application for his already writing machine for he developed with the assistance of his friends Carlos Glenn and Samuel W. Scholl. This is cool enough, but that's going to be enough for me and cool enough for that establishment, I guess. Okay. This first model constructed by Scholes uses a piano-like keyboard with two rows of characters arranged applicably seen here. The construction of the typewriter, however, has two flaws that made the product susceptible to jam. Firstly, the characters were mounted on metal arms or types bars, which was clash and jam, what do you call it? If neighboring arms were pressed at the same time, okay, or in rapid succession. Secondly, its printing point was located beneath the paper carriage. That's gonna be neat, I guess. Invisible to the operator, a so-called upstroke design, conceptually, we pronounce that word, jams were especially serious because the typewriter could only discover the mishap by rising to the carriage to inspect we have been typed. That's what called off. The solution was placed commonly using the letter pairs like TH or ST, so that their type bars were not neighboring avoid jams. That's easy enough. Scholes struggled for the next 5 years for invention, we pronounce it. Making it his trial and error arrangements of the original machine's applicability keys, arrangement, the study of Braham letter pair, speciality, what I pronounce it because I haven't cyberlink, but anyway. By educator Amos Deshmore, we pronounce it. Brother the financial banker James Densmore is believed to have influenced the area of letters. Okay? But the conservative was later called into question. Others suggested instead that letters groupings and following from telegraph operators' feedback. the following that happens to be called off. And then we'll get to chapter 2 after these commercial breaks. Stay tuned for more details on that. We'll be right back. Welcome back to QWERTY. I am so sorry for the huge delay. I just came back from work and other things because I was just doing other work and then I just want to do more LHBM related stuff. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Now let's get back to this film right now. See what I got, shall we? See what we got. In November of 1868, he changed the arrangement of the latter half of the alphabet O to Z, right to left. In 1870, he arrived at 4-row uppercase keyboard approaching the modern QWERTY standard, moving the 6 vowel letters A, E, I, O, U, and Y to the upper row as follows. It's cool enough. In 1873, Scholes Backer, where pronounce that word, James Denshore, successfully sold the malfunctioning rights to the Scholes and Gwen typewriter to E. and E. Rabley's and Sons. The keyboards is layout it was penalized within a few months by Remastered machines and was ultimately presented. Fair enough. The QWERTY layouts became the popular was a success of the Remington way to pronounce that word, Number 2 of 1878, the first typewriter to include both upper and lower case letters, using a shift key. Now this is awesome. That way I can use typing letters. So let's move on to chapter 3, shall we? See what we got.
Now, you've seen some pictures of Macintosh in these slides, but what I'd like to do now is show you the Macintosh in person. And all of the images that you will be seeing will be generated by what's in that bag right there.
Forwarding back in 1976. Excuse me. I misspoke. 1976. There are 3 people. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, what you pronounce it, and Ronald Wayne first founded the Apple computer, now known as the Apple Incorporated. And a year ago, that following month, April of 1975, Microsoft Corporation was founded by both Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Very neat, I guess. However, Steve Jobs first introduced so many devices, starting with the very first Macintosh in January 24th, 1984. It was shocked everyone during Super Bowl season.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Now, I saw the video on YouTube, and that was amazed me. So, there you go. It was very exciting for me to say it. So, there you go. Meanwhile, in 1985, Bill Gates first introduced the very first Windows computer. That's one of my first computers I got before I got this Macs. No, I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born in the 90s, so I got the Windows 98. So there you go. But as far as these two computer brands are made, Steve Jobs for one made Pixar. So it was so famous for Star Wars career. George Lucas in 1986. Although I did not write anything since, so there you go. Though he made Toy Story and some of Bugs Life, and all of a sudden, one of the Disney animators had a feud with John Lasseter and Pixar, and that wasn't fair for me. So there you go. It wasn't making any sense to me, so it was just all that feud issue. So there you go on that. Now I'm going to explain more what happened to Apple and Microsoft ASAP to you guys on Screenflow. So let's do it now. Here's the explain of what's going to happen next to Apple and Microsoft. I'm going to read you a history and behind Apple and Microsoft, because I'm taping this via Screenflow. And let's get props of what's going to happen to the thing, shall we? Because I am taping this on the 14th, and I'm planning to release this on either tomorrow or tonight. Let's see what happens. Anyways, 1975 to 1985. Jobs and Wozniak. Pre-foundation, okay? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak first met in June 1971 when their mutual friend Bill Fernandez, including their 21-year-old Wozniak to 16-year-old Jobs, they began their business partnership later in the year when Wozniak, a talented, self-educated electronics engineer, began constructing boot boxes. Okay? They wanted to make long-distance phone calls at no cost. Sounds reasonable. Jobs managed to sell some 200 boot boxes for $150 each. Wow. Okay? Split the profit with Wozniak. Jobs and Wozniak also referred to the QWERTY to the two Steves. Okay? Have withdrawn from Wheaton College and UC Berkeley, respectively, by 1975. Wozniak designed a video terminal that he could use to log on the micro mini computers. Excuse me, I misspoke. At the call computer. Alex Comrat commissions that design and sold a small number of them through its firm. Okay. Aside from their interest in the up-to-date technology, the impetus for the two Steves seem to have another source in its essay from Story to Silicon Valley, published in 1986. Okay. Corey historian Fyodor Wozniak, way to pronounce it, made a point that Apple Computer emerged from within the West Coast counterculture and the needs to produce printouts, labels, and databases. Okay. Wozniak offered a bit of background on the development of the two Steves prototype models. In 1975, the two Steves started attending meetings of the Hillsborough Computer Club. New microcomputers such as the Altair 800 and the IMSAI, inspired Wozniak to build a microprocessor. It could this video terminal and have a complete computer. At the time, it is only microcomputer CPUs, generally available with $179 Intel AEA, we pronounce it AOAO, okay, equivalent to $843 in 2018. Wow, that's a lot of money. And it's $170 multiplied 6,800, equivalent to $792 in 2018. Wow, that's a lot of money. Wozniak preferred the 638 hundred, but with both out the price range, which so he watched and learned designing computers on paper, waiting for the day he could afford a CPU. Okay, when MOS technology released its $20 development to $88 in 2018, S685, yes, misspoke. X6502 chip in 1986 was not Well's version of BASIC for it, okay? And began to design the computer to run it, okay? Excuse me. The 65002, was designed by the same as the people who designed the 62800. The many of the Silicon Valley 11 employers put its own companies. Wozniak ordered 6800 paper computer needed only minor changes to run their own new chip. By March 1st, 1976, Wozniak completed the machine and took it to the Homebrew Computer Club meeting and show off when Jobs saw Wozniak's computer, when later became as the Apple I. Wow. It's cool enough. He was immediately interested in the commercial professional. Initially, Wozniak intended to share schematics, what you pronounce it, of the machine for free, but Jobs instead that they should instead build and sell printed built boards of the computer. Jobs eventually convinced Wozniak to start a new company and go into business. In order to raise the money they need to produce the first batch of printed cursor boards, Jobs sold its yeah, I heard the ding sound effect, but anyway, like your story reply. Says by Lucas, a cool guy, but anyway, like a lanky said. But anyway, I can't really read what I'm saying. But anyway, in order to raise the money they need to produce the first batch of printed circuit boards, okay, Jobs sold its Volkswagen VW Type 2 minibus, and Wozniak sold its Houselet Patchwork HP 65 programming calculator. Apple I and the company formation. In April 1st, 1976, Apple Computer Company was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Ray. Wayne would work with Atari as its chief draftsman, agreed to become a co-founder of the company in return for a 10% stake. However, Wayne was somewhat gun shy due to the failed venture 4 years earlier, and soon dropped out of the new company 12 days later. Wow. Leaving the two Steves to have the primary co-founders and selling his 10% share back from them only $800. Wow. According to Wozniak, Jobs proposed the name Apple Computer. Anyway. And if you watch this, Lucas, yeah, no need to apologize. Yes, that's by Lucas. But anyway, from last night. But anyway. But anyway. Hey, Jeff. Anyway. Oh, hold on. Yeah, sorry everyone, I was in the wrong one. Anyway, move on. Next, we got But anyway. Where was I? Oh yes, according to Wozniak, Jobs proposed the name Apple Computer when he had to first come back from wild Frenchland, all for one farm in Oregon. Okay, that's fine. Jobs told Walter Isaacson that he told was one of my friends' diet. Oh really? I did not know that. It was drawn by Ronald Wayne. Okay. Despite Isaac Newton under the apple tree. Okay. I may talk about Isaac Newton in the Friday show, but anyway. When he discussed the name and thought it was sound fun, spirited, and not recommending way you pronounce it, plus it would be get us ahead from Atari, excuse me, in the phone book. An attempt to expand sales outlets from the printed circuit boards. The reason, I misspoke. Jobs approached Paul Terrell, who operated as a computer store chain named The Bike Shop, pressed by the formation of the Apple I. Terrell told Jobs that he was interested in buying the machine, but only became successfully amazed, saying he was over 50 of the machines and pay US $500 each in the delivery. Equation to $2,200 in 2018. Jobs then took the purchase order that he had been given the bike shop to Grammar Electronics, called off, a national electronics part distributor, in order to do components he needed to components to Apple I. Okay. The local credit manager asked Jobs how he was going to pay for the parts, and he replied, "I have his purchase order to the buy shop. Change the computer stores from 50 to my computers, and the payments terms are COD. Wow. If you give me the parts in the next 30-day terms, I can build and deliver the computers in that time frame. Collect my money in that from Terrell in the buy shop and pay you." Okay, that's fine. The client manager called Paul Terrell and who was attending the IEEE. Oh yeah, I misspoke. IEEE career conference at SOMAR in Pacific Grove, and verified that the value of the purchase order amazing the tenacity of Jobs. Terrell occurred to the credit manager of if the computer showed up in the stores. Jobs wanted to be paid and wanted to have been more than enough money to pay the parts order. Okay, the two Steves. Okay, have no vacation in the background. But anyway, the two Steves and their small crew spent day and night building the testing the new computers. Okay, they delivered the Terrell on time to pay his supplier. Excuse me, and have the profit left over for the celebration of the next order. Okay. Jobs found a way to fiance and Wozniak's soon to be a multi-millionaire, $1 million company. Wow. Without giving away one share of the stock and ownership. Okay. The machine have only a few noticeable figures. One is the use of a TV of the display system, whereas many machines has no display at all. Where there was not like the display of later machines, however. Text was displayed at 60 characters per second. Okay. However, there was still faster than teleprinters, using the Samurai machines in that era. The Apple I is included the bootstrap code of ROM. Okay. Which made it easier to start up. Finally, the instance of Paul Terrell was not also designed a cassette interface for loading the same program. Excuse me, and then the 10 rapid pace of 1200 bits. Although the machine was very simple and nevertheless a masterpiece of design, using far fewer parts than everything in this class. And quickly learning, Wozniak is a party and a major master designer, joined by Wayne. The two Steves start building the machines, borrowing spaces from friends and family. Jobs managed to secure parts of what needed, while Wozniak and Wayne mostly excuse me. Building such a machine was going to be finally burdensome, and the owner of the bike shop was expected to complete computers, not just print current boards, but the boards being a part of the computers. Okay, Charles still paid them. Even eventually, 200 of the Apple Ones were built. Encouraged by the success of the Apple I, Jobs were looking for the investments for expand the business. But banks were afraid to lend his money. The idea of the computer for ordinary people seemed to have started at the time. Jobs eventually met a millionaire named Mike Magara, okay, who saw the great potential in the two Steves and became an angel inventor. Magara invested $92,000 on his own property with a series of $250,000, equivalent to $1,100,000 in 2018. Line of credit from the Bank of America. With Magara's help and funding, Apple Computer Corporation was incorporated on January 3rd, 1977. Move on to the next computer, and that's of course the Apple II, which, by the way, the logo was created by Rob Ganoff in 1977. The Apple logo was a rainbow sheen, was used in April of that year, okay, until August 26, 1999, when Steve Jobs observed the Apple logo was inspired by the story of his childhood. That is cool enough. Wozniak soon moved on to the Apple I. Many designers featured the one was due to the limited amount of money they have to start the computer. With the income and the sales, Wozniak was able to start constructing a greatly improved machine, the Apple II. The Wozniak compared the working prototype of the new machine by August 1976. The two Steves presented the Apple II computer to the public at the first West Coast Computer Fair on April 16th and the 17th, 1977. On the first day of the expansion, Jobs introduced the Apple II to the Japanese company's name Toshio Majuo Mei. Way to pronounce the last name. Who became the first authorized Apple dealer of Japan. The main difference in internationally, when I pronounce that word, was completely redesigned TV interface. That's cool. Which held the display and memory. Now, not only useful for the text symbol, I misspoke, for the symbol text display, the Apple II included graphics and eventually color. Wow. As I mentioned before, okay? JAWS, meanwhile, pressing a much improved case and keyboard. With the idea of the machine should be complete when ready to run out of the box, it was almost the case for the Apple I machine sold to the bike shop. But one still need to plug various parts together at the time of the codes to run BASIC. With both cache and the new case designed and thanks to the designer Jerry Maglock, when you pronounce that word. The Apple II was released in 1977 with one of the free 1997 Trilogy computers. Jerry credited with creating the whole computer market. The other two being the Coca-Cola Pet and the Kennedy Corporation, TRS-80. Millions were sold in the 80s. The different computers model in the Apple II series were built. Including the Apple IIe and the Apple II GS, where they continued in public use for nearly 2 decades thereafter. The Apple III. While the Apple II was already established and successful business-ready platform in BASIC, Apple's not content, way you pronounce it. The Apple III was designed to take over the business environment. The Apple III was released on May 19, 1980. The Apple III was a very, comparable design for computers of the era. However, Jobs was not to be one computer to have a fan, okay? Rather, he wanted to make heat generated by the electronics be displayed through the cases of the machine, fogging the cooling fan. That is cool enough. However, the specific design of the case was not simple. The cooler components inside it, by removing the fans from the design, they have a free response to overheating. Why? This caused the implicating cursor chips to disconnect from the motherboard. Customers will contact Apple customer service, who were told to raise the computer 6 inches to air and let it go. This will cause the ICs to fail back into place. Thousands of Apple III computers were recalled. New models introduced in 1983. That was the worst computer ever. So there you go. To try to recover the problems. But the damage was already done. Exactly. The Apple IPO. Now, this is the worst type of computer we ever seen in decades, but there you go, 1980s. But anyway, in the July 1980 issue of Combat Microcomputing, publisher Wayne Greed stated that the best consumer ads I've seen have those by Apple. They are intentionally gained, and there must be property sale. In August, the Financial Times reported that Apple Computer, the fast-growing California manufacturer of small computers, from the consumer, business, and educational markets, is planning to go public later that year. Wow! It is the largest private manufacturer in the U.S. in the small computers. The founded about 5 years ago, which, by the way, it came out in 1976, not 1975, by the way, as a small workshop business, and it becomes the second largest manufacturer of small computers after the Radio Shack division. Wow. Okay, I love Radio Shack. A pretending company. Okay? In December 12, 1980, Apple launched the intentional public authority in the its shock of the eventually public. When Apple went public, it generated most more capital than IPO since Ford Motor Company in 1956, and eventually created more millionaires, about 300 of them, than any company in history. Several venture capitalists cash out, repeating billions in long-term capital gains. Wow. In January 1981, Apple held its first shareholders meeting in the public company in the Sprint Center, large auditorium, and nearby he has a college where he's often used for symphony concerts. Wow. Which, by the way, symphonies are so boring, like do 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 do. It's so late. But anyway, to handle the larger numbers of shareholders post IPO, the business of the meeting have been planned so that the voting could be staged in 15 minutes or less. Wow. In most cases, voting processes are collected by mail and counted days or months before meeting. In the case after the IPO, many more shares were in the new hands. Steve Jobs' shares prepared speech by having been interrupted by voting several times. He dropped his prepared speech and delivered a long, emotional charge to talk about the betrayal, lack of respect, and related topics. You kidding me? You kidding me? Now, well, this is the worst part of my life about his life, because I wasn't born yet. But anyway, the IBM PC, by August of 1981, Apple was among the 3 largest marketing computer companies, perhaps having to replace Radio Shack as leader. Wow! I did not know that. Love Radio Shack, but what happened? Anyway, then in the first half of the year was already since 1980's $118 million. And InfoWorld reported that the lack of production capacity was confining growth. IBM entered the professional computer market that month with IBM Computer. But Apple had many advantages. While IBM began with one microcomputer, were available hardware or software in a couple of hundreds of dealers. Apple has 5 times as many of dealers in the U.S. and the establishment international division network. The Apple II and the installed base of more than 250,000 customers and hundreds of developers offered software and products. At least 10 database and 10 word processors were available, while the PC has no database and 1 word processor. Wow. Because of business Cadillac, because of business purchased 90% of Apple IIs. Wow. The company's customers gained from problems and developments of royalties by 1984 stated that there are 2 kinds of people in the world. People who say Apple is just a company, it's just a cause. People who say Apple is just a cause, it's just a company. Yeah, I agree. Good job, Byte. Both groups are right. Nature suspended the principle of concentration, where Apple is concerned. Yeah, Apple's more than just a company, because it's bound by some qualities of myth. I agree. Apple's 2 guys in the garage undertaking the mission of bringing computing company power. Anyway, once reserved for big corporations the divisionals with organized budgets. The company growth with 2 guys into the billion-dollar corporation expandies the American dream. Wow. Even as a large corporation, Apple pays David do IBM's Goliath. You kidding me right now, huh? Huh? And thus the 7th row in the math. And I'm not gonna read the magazine that has been noted, sadly, because this is not happening. So I'm gonna skip that. So there you go. Xerox, Park, and Lisa. So what happened here is that these copiers is came worth about Lisa. And I have read most of the time of that documentary about Apple's 1984 commercial and the Macintosh launch. So there you go. Apple Computer's business division was focused on the Apple III. Okay. Another determination of a text-based computer. Simultaneously, the Lisa Group worked on a new machine that would feature a completely different interface and introduce the world's mouse icon desktop into the lexicon of the computing public. Wow. In return, the right to buy $1 million, the pre-IPO stock. Xerox granted Apple Computer 3 days access to the Park facilities. After visiting Park, okay, they came away with the new ideas, completing the formation of Apple Computer's first good old computer, the Apple Lisa. Joking me? The interfaces of Apple's WIMP interface was a floppy disk, okay, with files so we can simplify, move around. After months of using testing, Apple designed the Lisa interface for Windows and icons. Wow. The Lisa was introduced in 1983 at the cost of that's a lot of money back then. $10,000 US dollars. Visually of $25,100 in 2018. Because of the high price, Lisa failed to penetrate the business market. Wow, there's a lot of issues from them back then. Macintosh, the 1984 commercial. Now, I've seen a lot on Macintosh, so this is hard. So, my first Macintosh was this, the Mac Mini. So there you go. By 1984, computer dealers saw Apple and the only clear alternative to IBM's influence. Computers announced the Macintosh 128K. Wow. It depressed the 1983 of October, followed by the 18-page box, including the magazines in December. Its debut, however, was announced by a single national broadcast of a 1.5 million television commercial, 1984. Okay, exposure of $3.6 million. $3,600,000 in 2018. It was directed by Wally Scott, aired during the first quarter of Super Bowl 11, 15, 18. Yeah, I misspoke. On January 22nd, 1984. It was now considered as a watershed event. Wow. And a masterpiece. 1984 used an unnamed orient to represent the coming of the Macintosh in the day by her white tank top with a pistachio style picture of Apple's Macintosh computer on it. As a means of saving humanity from conforming Big Brother. Well, I'm not sure what I mean by that, but let me see it. It's a fictional character and a symbol of George Orwell's novel, 1984. That's what I mean by that. But anyway, these images were shot with original to George Orwell's novel, 1984. Yes, as mentioned before, which described as a traditional future world by a televised Big Brother. Wow, okay. With a special post-election edition of Newsweek in November 1984, Apple sent more than $2.5 million. Wow, to buy all $30 advertising pages in an issue. Apple also ran a test drive of Macintosh promotion in which commercials buyers with a credit card could take home a Macintosh for 24 hours and return it for dealers afterwards. Wow. While 200,000 people participated, dealers disliked the promotion. What happened? Anyway. The supply was the computers was fed by the demand, and many were returned in such a bad shape that they were no longer going to be sold. This marketing campaign caused CEO John Shuey to raise the price from $2,000 to $4,800 in 2018 to $2,495, versus to $6,000 in 2018. 2 days after the 1984 ad aired, the Macintosh went on sale. Wow. Okay, then. It came bundled the two applications designed to show off its interface, Mike Wright and Mike Pate. Now, I haven't seen those before, and this is a 1984 establishment. It cost $195. Okay. See what's going from the Mike Pate, especially Mike Wright. Those two are from 1984. Okay, I see what's going. But I'll talk about this another time. But anyway, about the Mac guaranteed is initially oh man, I can't speak today. Emotionally falling. It was too radical to some who I labeled it mere toy. Really? It's not a toy. It's an electronic device. Because the machine was entirely designed around the GUI existing in text mode, and command-driven applications had to be redesigned, and the programming, I posted with the Bonnie fan club, code rewritten. There was a challenge undertaken that made software design developers shy away from and resulted in an intentional lack of software for the new system. In April 1984, Microsoft Multipane plan, merged over the MS-DOS, followed by Microsoft Word in January 1985. Now, I'm going to read Microsoft next, because that will be coming up, so there you go. That same year, Lotus Software introduced Lotus Jazz, and up in the set of Lotus 123 from the IMB PC. Although the laboratory a flop. Apple introduced Macintosh Office. Love that software. But it's a flop. What happened to it now? Anyway, that same year, with the Ramin's ads, famous in the originally solely partial customers. It was not success. Are you kidding me? Okay, moving on. Macintosh also swapped the concept of Mac evangelism, which was pioneered by Apple's employee and later Apple fellow Guy Kowalski. Way to pronounce that word. But anyway, despite initial marketing difficulties, the Macintosh brand was eventually a success for Apple. This was due to the introduction of desktop publishing and later computer animation. Wow. Through Apple's partnership with Adobe Systems, which introduced the laser printer and Adobe PageMaster. Okay, indeed, the Macintosh will become known as the virtual platform for main industries, including cinema, music, and advertising, publishing, and the arts, which I'm a good at video editing. So there you go. Jobs was not leave Apple. Now, I have no idea what's going on in 1985. Now, this is a sad feeling for me. Surely Jobs' vision of the company could be different. The former favorite open architecture computers were like the Apple II, so did the education. Small business and home markets less, Visual IBM. Jobs wanted his company to focus on the cloud, alternative Macintosh, and the business alternative to the IBM computer. President CEO Shoei has little control over chairman of the board's Jobs Macintosh division. It and the Apple II division overriding the separate companies, duplicating service. Although this product provided 85% of Apple's sales in 1985 early. But the company's January 1985 AOME did not mention the Apple II divisions or employees. Wow! This frustrated Wozniak, who left the active employment at Apple early the same year to promote other ventures, stating that the company had been going the wrong direction the last 5 years, and sold the most of the stock. Oh, you kidding me? Despite these dreaminess, Wozniak left the company, and as of January 2018 continues to represent Apple and advance in open interviews. Wow. Receiving the trip over the years in a row, administered in 2006 to be $120,000 per year. That's something. Macintosh sales was eventually good, but began to taper off dramatically after its first 3 months due to its high price, image range, and available software. In 1985, the sales slump triggered the power struggle between Steve Jobs and CEO John Shoei. And I felt bad for Steve Jobs, who had been hired 2 years earlier by Jobs. Using a famous line, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or come with me and change the world?" Fuck off, Shoei! Come on! Shoei decided to remove Jobs as a general manager of the Macintosh division, and gained ambitious some support from the Apple board of directors. You're wrong, Shoei. You're just wrong. The board of directors ensured Shoei to contain Jobs and his ability to launch experiences, forays, and untested products, rather than cement Shoei's direction. Yeah, he's a bad boy. Yeah, when I read him in the news in 2011, he went over to become a flop. You know, I was born in the mid-90s. And then when Toy Story came out, this happened. Jobs attempted to oppose him for his leadership role of Apple, affirming the Jean-Joyce Cosati. Shaw found out that Jobs had attempted to organize a coup and called an emergency executive meeting, which Apple's executive staff decided that when Shoei restricted Jobs in the advertising duties. Jobs was taking the president of chairman of the firm, have influence over Apple's directions, despite resigned from Apple in September of... Kidding me? Are you... Fuck you, Shoei! Anyway, it took a number of cabinets. Apple's employees with him to found Next Incorporated that year. Shoei recognized the company and find sales and marketing in one division, but that obligations and net development in the other. And the show the funds and being sized by Apple computer, Jobs was sold, but all the $6.5 million share. This company $7 million gone. Wow. Jobs includes in the visual effects house Pixar for $5 million. Equation produced $11,400,000 in 2018. Next Incorporated will be built computers for designs and next step operation system. Next step will eventually be developed in the Mac OS X. Okay? While non-commercial success, due to parts at a high price. The next computer will eventually introduce important concept to the history of the personal computer, including services and inventional platform the team Berners-Lee, who have developed the World Wide Web. This is cool. Jim, good job, Steve. Good job. Anyway. Joey, Spanner, and Amelio. Oh, this is going to be the worst part. Corporate performance. Until leadership of John Shoei, Apple assured the first corporate stock divided on May 11, 1987. A month later, June 16th, Apple stock split for the first time in 2.1 split. Apple kept the quantity divided into with a 0.3 yield until November 21st, the year I was born. The year Toy Story movie that came out for years. But anyway. And Babe, the year I was born then. But anyway. Between March 1988 and January 1989, Apple undertook 5 coordinations. We pronounce that word. Including software companies, network invalidations, Skyware, systems, and Coral software. Coral was my favorite software ever in my childhood, as well as satellite communication company Orion Network Systems. Now, what does this have to do with this? Apple continued to sell both lines of computers, the Apple II and the Macintosh. A few months later, they introduced the Apple Mac. Apple released a concept version of the Apple II called the Apple IIc. Okay? And in 1986, Apple introduced the Apple II GS. Why? Because they ain't stupid. They don't make fun of Steve Jobs' company. An Apple II poisoning of something as hybrid product with mouse-driven, Mac-like operation avoidment, we pronounce it. Even the release of the first Macintosh, Apple II computers remained the main source of income for Apple for years. The Mac family. At the same time, the Mac would become the product of the family of its own. The original model unveiled in the Mac Plus in 1986. Are you for real right now? Are you fucking kidding me? Swapping the Mac SC and the Mac II in 1987. Shit. Those two are the worst. And the Mac Classic and the Mac LOC in 1990. Shit. These two are... See, yeah, Steve found this company, and... Which he did, Scully. Anyway. Meanwhile, Apple attempted the first portable Macs. Yeah, wow. The failed Macintosh Portable in 1989. And then the more popular PowerBook in 1991. Year Freddie Mercury died. A landmark product that established the modern form and external layout of the laptop. Wow. Popular products and increasing revenues made the gold time for Apple. Magazine has called it to 1989-1981 the first golden age of Macintosh. Wow. On February 19th, 1987, Apple redesigned the Apple.com. This is a domain name, making it one of the first 100 companies to register a .com address in the national internet. Okay, this is cool. Early mid-90s. In the late 1980s, Apple's first technological rivals, the Amiga and Apple Atari ST platforms, were, I don't know, this is cool. But computers based on IBM computers were far from popular than all three. By the 90s, they finally had to compare GUI thanks to Windows 3.0. We're outcompeting Apple. Apple's response to the PC threat was the profusion of a new Macintosh lines such as QWERTY, cursors, and performa. However, these new blinds were marketed poorly by what was now arguably one of the worst marketed companies in the industry. For one, there were too many models, different by very minor graduations of their tech specs. The excess of arbitrary models numbers confused many customers and hurt Apple's projections for symbolically, we pronounce that word. Apple's retail reserves like Sears and Comp USA often failed to sell or even comparatively display their Macs. I don't know what to tell you, but this is not happening. Compounding matters was the fact that although the machines were cheaper than the comparable PC. That's stupid, shall we? Okay, whatever. When taking into account the components built in, they had to be added to the bare bones PC. You gotta be fucking kidding me. The poor marketing give the impression that the machines were more expensive. Eventually grew as Apple conventionally demand that proper the models and overestimated demands for others, okay? Oh man. In 1981, Apple partnered with long-time competitor IBM and Motorola to form the AIM Island, excuse me. The ultimate goal was to create a revolutionary new platform known as PrEP, which would be the IBM's and Motorola hardware and Apple software. And the first step towards the PrEP platform, Apple started its Power Macintosh line in 1984. Wow. Using Power PC processors from the Motorola and IBM. These processors are the risk architecture, when you pronounce it, was different separately from the Motorola 6800XO series that were used in all previous Macs. Parts of Apple's operating systems, software, we pronounce it, were rewritten. The most software written, the oldest Macs can run an emulation on the Power PC series. Apple has refused IBM's offer to purchase their company. Yeah, I agree, big time. Blair unsuccessfully sought another offer from IBM. At one point, was out of the way from the equation by Sun's Microsystems. Microsystems, the way you pronounce it. Okay. Anyway, in addition to computers, Apple also produced consumer devices. In 1983, Apple released the Newton, an early personal digital assistant. It divides and launched a PDA category, and was rather an inspiration of devices such as the Palm Pilot and Pocket PC. Cool enough. In 1994, Apple launched eWorld, an online service provided email, news, and a bulletin board system to replace Apple Link. Cool enough. It was shut down in 1996. Wow. In 1995, a decision was made to officially start licensing the Mac OS and Mac ROMs to third-party manufacturers to start producing Macintosh codes. But this was done in order to achieve deeper market contributions and extra revenue for the company. This was the decision to move to Apple's under the 10% market share until 1987, when Steve Jobs was rehired as a virtual CEO to replace Gil. Yeah, sorry, you hear that phone in the background. Gill and Mill, Jobs permanently found a loophole hole in the licensing contracts. Apple was a quote malfunctions determining the Mac OS licensing program and the Mac clone era. The results of the action of Mac OS it's not Mac OS yet at the moment. Macintosh computer market shares fell to 10% to now 3%. This is not happening. In 1996, the struggling next company, B2B, Incorporated's BOS, is a bid to sell its operating system to Apple. Apple purchased Jobs company next on December 10th, 1996. And its next step operating system will be not only bring Steve Jobs' back to Apple management, but next technology will become the formation of the Mac OS X operating system. Wow! Return to Steve Jobs. On July 9th, 1997, Gil Bishop was outsourced CEO of Apple by the board of directors. Jobs stepped in as a term CEO to become a critical restructuring of the company's product line. He was eventually, became CEO and served as a president until August 2011. On August 24th, 2011, Steve Jobs resigned his position again as CEO of Apple before his long battle with prostate cancer took his life on October 5th, 2011, when he passed away at the age of 55. I can't remember what year that was. On November 10th, 1997, Apple introduced this Apple Store. Wow. An outside retail store based upon the web objects of application server of the company that requires this purchase of Next. Wow. The new direct sales outlets and the new, which also tied new built-to-order multi-function strategy, which is called off. Microsoft deal. In the 1997 Mac World Expo, Steve Jobs announced that Apple will be entering the partnership with Microsoft. Wow. Including the 5-year coming with Microsoft release Microsoft Office for Macintosh. So it was a $150 million investment at Apple. As part of the deal, Apple and Microsoft agreed to sell long distance, despite other whenever Microsoft Windows operating system infringed Apple's patience. It was also announced that Internet Explorer will be shipped in the default browser, which is now called Edge, Microsoft Edge at the time. But anyway, on the Macintosh, it was a user being able to have a preferred permit. Microsoft chairman Bill Gates appeared in the expo on screen, further explained Microsoft's plans for the software they were developing for Mac, stating that he was very excited to help Apple return to success. After this, Steve Jobs says this to the audience at the expo. If you want to move forward and see Apple healthy and professional again, we have to let it go of a few things here. We have to let go of the notion of Apple to win. Apple has to lose. Microsoft has to lose. Agree, big time. We have to replace to a nation for the Apple to win. Apple has to do a very good job. Yeah, because I have Apple nowadays. And if others are going to help, that's great. But we need all the help that we can get. If we can screw up and we don't need a good job, it's not somebody else's fault. It's our fault. Yeah, I agree. Big time. So I think that was a very important processive. If we want Microsoft Office on the back, which I have, don't have in the moment anymore, but anyway, we better treat the company that puts it on there a little bit of gratitude. We like the software. Agreed. So the era is set up as competition between Apple and Microsoft. And it's over. as far as I'm concerned. This is all about getting Apple healthy. This is about Apple being able to make incredibly great strawberries to the industry and the get healthy and preserve again. Now this is exciting, and I just think I agree with Steve Jobs in this statement. So good job. But anyway, the day before the announcement, Apple had been marketing $2.46 billion. Wow. And have ended the previous quarter with the rising revenues of $1.7 billion of US. Cash revenues to $1.2 billion. Wow. Marketing making up $1.50 million of US. Amount of the investment largely mimic. Apple CFO Fred Arison stated that Apple would use the initial funds to invest in its core markets of education and creative content. Cool enough. Now, this is all what is going to happen next to iMacs, iBooks, and Power Mac G4. Now, this is something I really want to talk about. This is the original iMac seen here. And the bottom, because I want to show you in the camera mode, is the second generation iMac. And I wanted to read you the iMac, iBook, and Power Mac G4. Now, it's now called Apple Books, so there you go. While discontinuing Apple's license and operating system to third-party computer manufacturers, one of Jobs' first moves as a new acting CEO was to develop the iMac. Wow. Which first brought Apple time to restructure the original iMac was integrating these CRT display, CPU display into a streamlined stretched plastic body. The line became a sales smash. Wow. Moving out about 1 million units each year. It's also helped reintroduce Apple to the media and public. And announced the company's new environmental way to pronounce it on design and service of this product. In 1999, the Apple introduced the Power Mac G4, which is the Marissa made PowerPC 7400. Generated the 128-bit instruction unit known as AVIC, its flagship product line. Also that year, Apple unveiled the iBook, its first computer over their laptop. That was also the first Macintosh to support and use a wireless LAN, using the optical airport card, and that was based on the 802.11b standard. It also supported the use of wireless LAN technology to connect computers to networks. Wow. macOS 10. In 2001, Apple introduced macOS 10, now it's macOS, which is cool enough. An operation system that based on Next Up. Okay? And incorporating parts of the FreeBSD kernel aimed at consumer, product, and professional alike. It's macOS 10 married stably, eventually in social Unix with the ease of completely overhauled interface. Today users to consider their applications from macOS 9. New operation system allow the user to use macOS 9 applications with classic environment. Apple's Carbon API also allow the developers to adapt their macOS 9 software to use macOS 10 features. X features, excuse me. Which is an X. But anyway. Retail stores. In May 2001, after much speculation, Apple announced the opening line of Apple retail stores to be located throughout the major U.S. computer buying markets. The store was designed for two primary purposes: to stem the ties of Apple's decline, to share the computers markets, to respond to poor marketing. Apple products and third-party retail outlets. Oh man, I got a lot of lean to do. iPods, iTunes Store, it's now called Music, App, TV, and Podcast, and then until Transition. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read iPod, and we'll do a commercial break after this. In 2001 of October, Apple introduced its first iPod portable digital audio player. Wow. The iPod started a 5GB player compatible for storing around 1,000 songs. Wow. Since then, it has unveiled its an area of product that including the Mini. Now, it's discontinued. The iPod Touch, the Shuffle, now discontinued, and the iPod Classic, also discontinued. And the Nano, now discontinued, the iPhone, and the iPad. Since March 2011, the largest storage compared to the iPod sold 116 gigabytes. Wow. Going off. Speaking of the software that's not developers, on June 6, 2005, Steve Jobs says the company shares the entire portable music device that sold as 76 million percent. Excuse me. The iPod gives a market lift as Apple's visual results. In the quarter ending March 26, 2005, Apple earned $290 million, or 34 cents a share. Wow. Shares of $3.24 billion, excuse me. The year before, the same quarter, Apple earned just $46 million, or just 6 cents a share, a revenue of $1.91 billion, excuse me. And when we come back, we'll do moving on from the Color Plastic and Power PC G3 and the rest of Apple, and then Microsoft. We'll be right back after these and then we'll do the rest of Chapter 4. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Stay tuned. Oh. Welcome back to QWERTY. I am so sorry for the huge delay. I just worked for 10 days, and now I'm just coming back from making QWERTY again for the first time in many days now. Excuse me. But anyway, let's read the rest of Apple's documentary along with Microsoft, the whole Microsoft read, and we'll do the rest of QWERTY's documentary words, and then we'll wrap up this documentary, shall we? See what we got. Hold on. Hang on, let me pause it right there. I'll be right back. Okay. Now I'm ready. Anyway. Moving on for colored plastics and the Power PC G3. Okay, hold on. Okay, I can't read if it's burping all of a sudden. Okay, never mind. Anyway, in early 2002, Apple unveiled a completely redesigned iMac. Excuse me. Please excuse the burping while I'm in the middle of taping this documentary, but anyway. And there's some foreign anyway. Move on. Using the G4 processor and LCD display. Okay, that's fine. The new iMac G4 design had white, I can't pronounce this word, based on a flat panel of this digital display. Excuse me. Sorry I misspoke because I was in the middle of getting ready to finish off QWERTY and I'm almost done here. Anyway. When you rush things, means losing viewers, and that's not going to happen. Anyway. Supported by a, well, I can't pronounce this word. Chrome, neck, whatever that means. After several iterations, increasing the progression speed and screen size from 15-inch to 17-inch to 20-inch, the iMac G4, okay, was discontinued and was placed by the iMac G5 in the summer of 2004, okay. In 2002, Apple also released the Xverse 1U black-mounted server, originally featured with G2, G4 chips. Excuse me, I misspoke. But anyway, the Xverse was usually for Apple in two ways. It represents an earnest effort to enter the enterprise computer market and was also relatively, I can't pronounce that word, excuse me, cheaper, was cheaper, but anyway, than similar machines released by its components, excuse me, I misspoke. This is due in no small part to Apple use fast ATA's drives excuse me, I misspoke, I can't read. As opposed to I cannot misspoke. But anyway. Sorry, I have food in my mouth. But anyway. The SDSI hard drives using the traditional rack-mounted servers. Apple later released the Xverse RAID, a 14 drive RAID that was again cheaper than combining systems. Amid 2003, Steve Jobs, I misspoke. In mid 2003, Steve Jobs launched the Power Mac G5 based on IBM's G5 processor. Okay. Excuse me. It's all metal Alloy album. Classes finished Apple's transition away from color plastics in their computers. Okay. Again, sorry you guys, you have to ignore what's going on in my mouth and burping and farting going on. I can't control it right now while I'm taping this movie right now. I just don't know what's going on. But anyway, Apple claims that there was a first 64-bit computer. Wow. Sold to the general public. The Power Mac G5 was also used by Virginia Tech to build its prototype System X. Supercomputing cluster, what I pronounce that word. Excuse me, but anyway. Sorry about that, but anyway. Which time the general, I cannot say that word, but anyway. That thing, I can highlight that to you. Anyway. Which, it's this word here. This is I cannot say that word, but it's not, I haven't pronounced it yet. But anyway. We got a nation of the third fastest supercomputer in the world. Wow. It costs only $5.2 million US to build. Wow. Far less than the previous number 3 and the other ranking supercomputers. Wow. Apple's Xverse serves was soon updated to use the G5 as well. Okay, they replaced the Power Mac G5 machines as a main building block of Virginia-Tech's System X, which was ranked in November 2004. I misspoke. Excuse me, but anyway, as well as 7th fastest supercomputer. Okay, a new Mac, a new iMac is based on the G5 processor was unveiled August 31st, 2004. It was made available in mid-September. This model disbanded with the base altogether. Wow. Placing the CPU. Anyway, my food is like delicious. But anyway. Sorry about that. And the rest of the computing hardware between the power screen, which is suspended from the Streamline Omnium foot, this new iMac DOM and the iMac G5, with the world's finished desktop computer. Wow, that's cool enough. Measuring it's all around 2 inches, about 45 centimeters. Okay, 2004, however, it turns point that Apple, after creating the sizable financial base to work with, the company began experimenting with new parts from new suppliers. As a result, Apple was able to produce new designs quickly over the short amount of time. With the release of the iPod Video, then the iPod Classic, and eventually the iPod Touch and the iPhone. On April 29, 2005, Apple released macOS 10 version 10.4 Tiger to the general public. Apple's widely successfully released PowerBook and iBook products. What revived Apple's previous generation G4 gestures, which were produced by Freescale Semiconductor, a spin-off of Motorola engineers at IBM, which is where you call that one. But anyway, had eventual success in making their computer power PC, G5 processor consume less power and run cooler, but not enough to run an iBook or PowerBook formats. As the week of October 24, 2005 goes by, Apple released the Power Mac G5 Dual that features a dual-core processor. The processor contains 2 cores. In one rather that has 2 separate processors. Apple has also developed the Power Mac G5 quad, that uses 2 of the dual core processors for workstation power and performance. New Power Mac G5 Dual cores run initially at G2.0 GHz or 2.3 GHz, where you call these GHz are. But anyway, the Power Mac G5 Squad cores run initially at G2.5 GHz, and all variations have the graphics power processor that has a 256-bit memory bandwidth. Wow. Now it's up to retail store expansion. Eventually the Apple stores were already open in the United States, but in late 2003, Apple opened its first Apple Store abroad. Wow. In Tokyo, some Ginza services. Ginza was followed by store in Osaka, Japan in August 2004. Then 2005, Apple opened in the Nagaya, in Tokyo. Okay. Funko and Sonda. Okay. What do you pronounce these words? Another store was opened in Sapporo in 2006. Apple's first operating store was opened in London on Regent Street in November of 2004. A store in Bury Shopping Center in Birmingham opened in 2005 April. And the Brewer Shopping Center in Dartford, Kent opened in July of 2005. And I heard a notification in the background. But anyway, Apple opened its first store in Canada in the middle of 2005 in Yorkdale Shopping Center in North York, Toronto. Later in 2005, Apple opened a manual store in Sheffield, the Trafford Centre store in Manchester, UK. Renovations in London areas were included the Bancroft Apple Store in January 2006, the Apple Store in Westfield and Shepherd's Bush in September 2008, and the Apple Store in Javert Garden in August 2010, which is during the largest store in the world. Wow. Also, the effort the court is bar market. Apple opened several mini stores in October 2004 in the attempt to capture markets where demand does not necessarily stay as full-scale store. First of these stores were opened at the Shepherd's Shopping Center store in Palo Alto, California. Wow. That was cool. Both stores were followed by footsteps and scheduled Apple products. iPod Mini and Mac Mini. Wow, this is cool. These stores are opening only one half the square footage of the smallest normal store, and the bus they will be placed in the several smaller markets. Wow. I cannot believe it. Apple and the iWeb services. You have to excuse my rubbing the eye issue. But anyway, in 2000, Apple introduced its iTools service, a set of free web-based tools that includes an email account, which is called internet greeting cards called iCards, which I've never seen before, a service called iReview that gives internet users a place to read and write reviews of websites. Wow. And a tool called KidSafe, never heard of it, that promised to prevent children from browsing inappropriate programs on the web. Oh no. Okay. The latter two services were eventually canceled because of lack of success, while iCards and email became increased to Apple Mac subscription based on service introduced in 2002 and discontinued in mid-2008. Wow. Make way to the release of the new Mobile Me service. Considering that when the iPhone 3G release, Mobile Me was carried the same way. $99, $100 that US annual subscription price and Mac processor. What do you call that one? Featuring I mentioned the push services and they instantly and automatically send emails, contacts, calendar updates directly to users' iPhone devices. Some could commercially survive the release of Mobile Me service to users, resulted in mentioned downtime and significantly longer release window, what you call it, And result of this, Apple extended the subscription of an extended amount of mobile media subscribers that attended initial 30 days free of charge. An initial WWDC event in June 2011, Apple announced it's not most of the date cloud service called iCloud replacing Mobile Me, which is cool. The service kept most of the core service that Mobile Me preferred. However, drop iDisk, not cool at all. Gallery, not cool at all. And iWeb, not cool at all. Initially, it added a number of other features in the group, including Find My Mac, cool enough, iTunes Match, cool enough, Full Stream, cool enough, Documents, cool enough, and Data Backup, cool enough. And iCloud backup from the iOS devices. Wow. The service required users to be running iOS 5 and iOS 10, 10.7 million. Wow. This is pretty cool. Next up, iTunes Store. The iTunes Music Store was launched on April 2003 with 2 million downloads in the first 16 days. The music was purchased without the iTunes applications, with the eventually Macintosh only. In October 2003, support for Windows was added. Wow. Because I am speechless right now. Cool enough. Initially, the music store was only available in the U.S. due to license restrictions. In June of 2004, Apple opened its music store in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. Wow. A version of European Union version opened in October of 2004. But it was not officially available to the Republic of Ireland yet, due to infractions of Irish Record Music Association, IRMI. Wow. But it was open for a few months later, on Thursday, January 6, 2005. Wow. A version for Canada opened on December 2004. May 10th, 2005, the Apple's music store was expanded to Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland. On December 16th, 2004, Apple sold its 200 million song on the Apple's music store to Ryan Elgison, Berkshire, Massachusetts. That was called The Complete U2 by U2. Just under 3 months later, Apple sold its 3 millionth song on March 2nd, 2005. On July 17th, 2005, Apple was sold its 5 millionth song. At that point, the song was selling its observing analyzed rate of more than 500 million purchases. Wow. On October 2005, October 25th, 2005, the iTunes Store was linked to Australia. Wow. When I opened the songs, the sales to over 1.60 Australian dollars each. Wow. I was getting to $60.99 Australian dollars, and music videos or Pixar short films are 3.49 Australian dollars. People in New Zealand were able to buy music off of Australian stores as well. However, that flow was clearly closed. On February 23rd, 2006, the iTunes Music Store sold its 1 billionth song. Wow. The iTunes Music Store changed its name to iTunes Store on September 12th, 2006. When it began offering the video content, TV shows, and movies for sale. Since iTunes application is sold over 2 billion songs, 1.2 billion of it was each sold for 2006. Since downloadable TV show and movie content was added 50 million TV episodes and 1.3 million movies has been downloaded. Wow. In early 2010, Apple celebrated 10 billion songs downloaded from the iTunes Music Store. Wow. Intel transition. In the keynote address on June 6, 2005, Steve Jobs officially announced that Apple will begin producing Intel-based Macintosh computers beginning in 2006. Oh wow, this is not even cool enough. Jobs confirmed rumors the company has been producing versions of the current operating system Mac OS X for both PowerPC, and Intel processors for over the past 5 years. And that was the transition to Intel processor systems and will last until the end of 2007. Rumors has been cross-platform convergence has been supplied by the fact that Mac OS X has been based on operating system that was available on many platforms. In fact, Apple's own Darwin, the open source underpinnings for Mac OS X, was also available for Intel's X6A6. Overture, sure way you pronounce it. On January 10th, 2006, the first Intel-based machines, the iMac and macOS MacBook Pro, were introduced. Wow. They're both based on the Intel Core Duo platform. The introduction came with the news that Apple will be completion of the transition to Intel processors and the hardware by the end of 2006. A year ahead of the originally quoted schedule. Okay, then. Next, 2007, 2011, Apple Incorporated iPhone, iOS, and iPad. On January 9th, 2007, Apple Computer Incorporated shortened its name to simply Apple Incorporated. In this Mac World Expo keynote address, Steve Jobs explained that will be current products, mixed condition of the iPod, Apple TV, as well as their Macintosh brand. Apple really wasn't just a computer company anymore. This is cool enough. As the same address, Jobs revealed a product is what really industry in which Apple has never previously completed. Okay, the Apple iPhone. The iPhone combined Apple's first widescreen iPod. Wow, with the first mobile device. Both in visual voicemail and an internet command able to run fully functional version of Apple's web browser Safari, and then named iPhone OS, later named iOS. Now known as, do you want to have an iPad mini called iPad OS? This is cool. iPad iOS edition, iPhone, and iPad. The first version of iPhone became publicly available on June 29th, 2007, the day after I turned 12, in selected countries and markets. It was another 12 months before the iPhone 3G became available on July 11, 2008. Apple announced its iPhone 3GS on June 8, 2009, along with its plans to release it later that June, July, August. Starting with the US, Canada, major European countries on June 19th. This 12-month iteration cycle has continued with the iPhone 4 model, having a similar version in 2010. The Verizon model was released in February 2011, and the Sprint model is in October 2011, shortly after Jobs' death. On February 10th, 2011, the iPhone 4 was made available with both Verizon Wireless and AT&T. Wow. Now, two iPod types were multi-touch. The iPod Nano and iPod Touch. Wow. A big adventure in technology. The iPad TV, however, currently has a second generation model, which is 4 times smaller than the original Apple TV. Apple is also going wireless, selling a wireless trackpad, keyboard, and mouse, an additional hard drive. Wireless accessories are, however, still available. The Apple iPad was announced on January 27, 2010, with initial retail availability commercially in April. Wow. And simultaneously growing in markets throughout 2010, the iPad fits in the Apple's OS product lines, being twice the screen size of the iPod phone without the phone's abilities. Wow. While there's initial fears of products can release with the FY 2010 Phillies results released in January 2011, including commentary on the reverse Halo effect, where iPad sales was leading and increased sales of iMacs and MacBooks. Of course, prepared to Microsoft. This is a strange look, but anyway. Since 2005, the Apple's reverse product and stock price has been growing severely, which is stupid, I know. On May 26, 2010, Apple stock market's value overtook Microsoft. This is stupid. Why? Apple's revenue surpassed those Microsoft's in the third quarter of 2010. Okay? After giving the results, the first quarter of 2011, Microsoft's net profit to $5.2 billion were lower than the quarters of those with Apple. Okay, that's good. Which earned $6 billion in net profit that quarter. Wow. Late that April announcement of products in the companies marks the first time in 20 years that Microsoft's profit has been lower than Apple's. Thank God. The situation described that ours as imaginable a decade ago. Imaginable a decade ago. Excuse me. Guardian reported that one of the reasons for the change was because PC software was where Microsoft dominates has become less important compared to the tablet and smartphone markets, where Apple is a strong presence. One reason was for that supplies dropped the PC sales in the core. Another issue for Microsoft was that its online search business has lost a lot of money. We lost $700 million. Wow, this is a lot of money to lose in this first quarter of 2010. This is stupid, I know. Okay. Now let's move on to 2011 to present, and we're going to wrap up Apple Incorporated and move on to Microsoft. Let's see. Researching an Apple Watch. On March 2nd, 2011, Apple unveiled the iPad's second generation model called the iPad 2, which I don't have anyway, because that's like meh. Like the fourth generation iPod Touch and the iPhone, the iPad 2 comes with a front-facing camera as well as a rear front-facing camera, along with the three new apps that provides these new features: camera, FaceTime, and photo booth. August 24th, 2011, Steve Jobs resigned from his position as CEO, with Tim Cook taking his place. On October 29, 2012, Apple announced strategy change in the decreased collaboration between hardware, software, and services. They involved a departure of Scott Forstwell, responsible for the launch of iOS. Wonder who he is. Well, I'll talk about him in my Friday show. But anyway, iPhone OS at the time of this launch, who was replaced by Craig Frederick Gray, where you pronounce his name, at the head of the iOS and iOS 10 team. Johnny I became head of HI. human interface, which is now gone now. He's not being on Apple anymore. Whilst AQ was announced as the head of online services including Siri and Maps, which I don't know who he is now. The most normal short-term difference of the occurrence was the launch of iOS 7. Wow. The first version of the operating system was used as a very different design to its processor, headed to Johnny I, followed by OS 10 Yasme a year later. With similar design during that time, okay, Apple released the iPhone 5, the first iPhone that had a screen larger than a 3.5 inch. The iPod Touch 5 also with a 4-inch screen, and the iPhone 5S with fingerprint scanning technology in the form of Touch ID, and iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus with screens at the 4.7 inch and 5.5 inch. They released the iPad third generation with Retina display, followed by iPad 4th generation just a half a year later. The iPad mini, which I haven't since I graduated from high school, which is now gone, was announced alongside the iPad 4th generation, which featured the smaller screens and 9.7 inch. It was just followed by the iPad mini 2, which is still with me in the house, but there you go. For that Retina display in 2013, along with the iPad Air, which I unfortunately don't have, so there you go. A continuation of original 9.7 inch range of iPads, which was primarily followed by an iPad Air 2 with Touch ID in 2014. And Apple also released various major Mac updates, including the MacBook Pro with Retina display, while also discontinuing the original MacBook range for a short period before introducing it in 2015. Various new features, Retina display, and a new design that incorporates USB-C while moving all other ports. Apple also updated the Mac Pro and iMac lines with demonstrating different, smaller, thinner, but more powerful designs. On November 25th, 2013, Apple acquired a company called Scene. On May 28th, 2014, which is a month before I turned 19, Apple acquired Beats Electronics. Wow. Producers of popular Beats by Dre. Never heard of them. Headphone. And speaker range. And while speakers, streaming service called Beats Music. Wow. On September 9th, 2014, Apple announced the Apple Watch, the first and new product ranged since the departure of Steve Jobs, who passed away at the age of 55 or something like that. I can't remember. The product cannot function beyond basic pro features without being within the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi range to the iPhone. Contains basic applications mainly in the remote for other devices such as the music remote or control for the Apple TV. Wow. And fitness tracking, the Apple Watch received mixed reviews. Wow. With critics suggested that while the device is showing promise, it lacks a clear purpose similar to the many of the devices already taken to market. On the Apple Watch release on April 24th, 2015. On December 9th, 2015, Apple announced the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus with 3D Touch and the iPad Pro and the 4th generation Apple TV. Along with the 4th generation Apple iPad Mini. And on March 21st, 2016, Yeah, Apple announced the iPhone SE, similar to the small iPad Pro. On September 7th, 2016, Apple announced the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus with improved camera and faster processor with the previous generation. The iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus has high storage options. On October 27th, 2016, Apple announced the new 15-inch MacBook Pro and the Retina Touch Bar. On March 21st, 2017, Apple announced the iPad 2017 edition. This is an iPad Air 2 successor, equipped with the faster processor, and starts with $329. Wow. See, that was a lot of money. And also, Apple announced the product red iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus. That's the one same day. On June 5th, 2007, 2017, excuse me. Apple announced iOS 11, as well as new versions of macOS, watchOS, and tvOS. Okay? Apple released update versions of the iMac, MacBook Pro, and MacBook. Okay? Apple releases new 10.5 and 12.9 inch iPad Pro. Apple also released a Siri speaker similar to the Apple Dot, Amazon Echo, and called HomePod. Excuse me. On September 12th, 2017, at the Steve Jobs PR, Apple introduced iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus with the better camera features, more improvements in product designs, user interface, performance, and more, but also announced the iPhone 10 with visual relations, technology, and wireless charging. Apple announced the 4K Apple TV with 4K HD4R, and Dolby Vision experience, and an Apple Watch Series 3, which is cool enough, with Stellar Edition running WatchOS 4, and on September 12th, 2018, at the Steve Jobs Beer, same again with the September 12th days, but anyway, Apple introduced the iPhone XS and iPhone XS Max and iPhone XR run iOS 12 with improved visual regulation of HDR in the display that is run as better as cameras for all three phones. They also announced the Apple Watch Series 4 runs Watch OS 5, which is an all-new design larger display, as well as many more health-rated features. Wow. In 2018, Bloomberg News reported that as early as 2015, and especially as China's People's Liberation Army began its returning chips into Supermicro servers that allow the backdoor access to them. Approximately 3 companies reportedly have their servers compromised to the chips, including Apple Incorporated. Wow. In September 20th, 2019, Apple introduced Apple iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, and iPhone 11 Pro Max were intended release. The iPhone 11 was also the first iPhone to feature 3 cameras. How cool is that? And to Giant Drew, it's kind of like a figure spinner, but no, it's a shot by shot by shot. But anyway, that was cool. But anyway, I got one more documentary left, and I'll get to chapter 4 and 5. I can't remember where we are right now, but it's been 10 days since I'm taping this, We gotta get going. And we'll do a huge huge thing. So there you go. That's the history of Apple, and we're going to do history of Microsoft. So there you go. So let's do it now. In late 1974, Paul Allen, a programmer of Honeywell, okay, was walking through Harwell Square when he saw the cover of the January 1975 issue of Publisher Electronics that demonstrate the Hardware AE800, what you call it. The first microcomputer. Allen brought his magazine and rushed to the courier house at Auburn College. Wow, cool enough. Where he showed the high school friend Bill Gates. They saw potential development in implementation basic systems. Excuse me. Gates called after malventure Michael Initial and Technological Systems. That's what it's called. A very the magistrate, the informations Allen Gates and neither as an operator nor an Altair system. Yet in 8 weeks before the demo, they developed an impression for the help of Monte Davidoff. Okay? When Allen flew to Albuquerque, what you pronounce it, to meet with Mitz. The expert work and Mitz agreed to distribute Altair Basics. Wow. Allen moved to Albuquerque, Gates soon quit Harvard to join him. And they co-founded Microsoft there. I don't know why, but this is stupid, you know? I loved Microsoft as a kid, but this is always strange to me. But anyway. Revenues of the company totaled up to $16,005 by the end of 1976. Wow, that's a lot of money. Al came up with the original name of Microsoft, a professional microcomputer software. Wow. Hibernated in its early creations on November 26, 1976. The company was redesigned under the name of the Secretary of State of New Mexico. Okay, that's cool enough. The company's first international office was founded on November 1st, 1978. Wow. Cool enough. In Japan. International entitled, what do you call it? It's not I, but CII Microsoft. Now called Microsoft Japan. Okay. On November 29th, 1979, the term Microsoft was first used by Bill Gates. On January 1st, 1979, the company moved from Hawaii to a new home in Belleville, Washington. Okay? Since it was hard to recruit top programmers to Hawaii, shortly before the move, 11 and 13 employees posted to the staff photo to the right. Steve Ballmer joined the company on June 11, 1980, and would later succeed Bill Gates as CEO. From January 2000 until February 2014, the company was started on June 25th, 1981. To become as a incorporated business in its home state of Washington. Wow. With a further change of its name of Microsoft Corporation Incorporated as part of the restructuring, Bill Gates became president of the company and chairman of the board. And Paul Allen became executive vice president. Wow. Microsoft Enterprise was different varieties of Microsoft Basics, were the dominant programming language in the late 1970s and early 80s. Home computers such as one of them only, because I'm one of my favorite computers of all time, Apple II. Applesoft Basic. And Commodore 64, which is a video game basics. Commodore Basic, and were also provided with the early versions of the IBM PC, and IBM Cassette Basic. Microsoft also marketed throughout an Apple dealer. Why? In Rampart Beach, Florida. 2 products for the Radio Shack TRS A, and one was the typing tour, which led the user to learning to use a keyboard. The other was authorized by the professor at the University of Hawaii called Mumath, and he had the ability to do mathematics and longer math to avoid flowing point numbers. Same joke, but okay. The first hardware product was the ZA soft car, which enabled the Apple II, which I'm pronouncing these words, but whatever, to run a CP/M operating system at the time, an industry standard operating system for the running business software, and made compilers and embroiderers, what you call it, for several high-level languages on mild computers. The soft cards was first displayed publicly at the West Coast Computer Fair in March 1980. It was a magnetic success. What do you call that one? 5,000 cards. Wow. A large number of given the microcomputer market at the time, which purchased until 3 months at $349 each. It was a Microsoft number at the one revenue score in 1980. Cool enough. First operating system publicly released by a company was a variant of Unix, announced on August 25th, 1980, acquired from AT&T, through them distributed license. Microsoft dubbed it Unix, as hired Santa Cruz operating in order to adapt the operating system to several platforms. Wow. This Unix variant would become home of the version of Microsoft Word Professor Microsoft Word. Wow. Originally titled Multi-Tool Word. Okay. Microsoft Word became the number for this use of what you see or what you get. WYSI, primarily by the Xerox Auto and the Bravo text editor in the 1970s. Okay, makes sense to me, but whatever. Man, I'm getting mumbled right there. War was first released in the spring of 1983, and 3 demonstration copies of the application was bundled with a number of 1983 issue of PC World. Okay, I have to keep reading because after this one I have to do a pause because this is gonna give me some nightmares because I have to get some war here. Because one of the first programs to be distributed on desk with the magazine. Early magazines on desk distributed, including Robert Osley's Basic in the May 1977 issue of Information HC. Robert's Osley's Basic, what you call it, the link see here in the description below. I'll send the link to you to that, but anyway. However, Unix was never sold at the end of users directly. However, it was licensed to make software of EMs to resell. Sounds fair. It grew to business. Become the most popular version of Unix, measured by the number of machines running it. Note that Unix has been a multi-user operating system, allowing civilizations access to machines by several users. By the mid-1980s, coming all around, Microsoft was giving out the Unix business except for the internet and interest in SCO. Excuse me. IBM first approach of Microsoft. In this upcoming IBM personal computer, IBM PC, in July 1980. On August 12, 1981, after negotiations with Digital Research failed, IBM awarded a contract with Microsoft to provide a version of CPM operating system, which was said to be used in the IBM PC. For this deal, Microsoft purchased a clone called x86DOS from Tim Pyerson of CL Computer Products for less than $100,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. For which IBM renamed for IBM PC DOS. Okay. I have to calm down. The original CBM was made by Gary Caldwell of Digital Research Incorporated. The Microsoft did not have an operating system when they closed the deal with IBM, and IBM did not do their homework. Yeah, I agree. Due to potential copyright infringement problems with CBM, IBM marketed both CBM and PC DOS for $240 and $40 in US dollars, wow, respectively. With PC DOS eventually becoming the standard because of its lower price. 45 of this company's 100 employees worked at IBM project for more than a year. When the IBM PC debuted, Microsoft was the only company that offered operating system, program language, and acquired application software with a new computer. The IBM PC DOS is also known as the MS-DOS, which is called off. Infowars stated in 1984 that Microsoft was $55 million, while in 1983 sales, and I quoted, is required as the most official company in computer software industry, claiming more than 1 million installed MS-DOS machines. Founder Chairman Bill Gates has decided to clarify Microsoft's jump on the rest of this industry by dominating applications, operating systems, and perpetual, and most recently, book publishing. Some insiders say Microsoft is attempting to be the IBM of the software industry. In 1983, in collaboration with numerous companies, Microsoft was created a home computer similar with MSX, which contained their own version of DOS operating systems called MSX DOS. This became rapidly popular in Japan, wow, Europe, and South America. Okay, cool enough. Later, the market saw a flood of IBM PC clones after Columbia Data successfully cloned its IBM BIOS. So quickly followed the Eagle computer and comeback. The deal with IBM allowed Microsoft to control its own QDOS, derivate MS-DOS, improve aggressive migrating of the operating system to microfeatures. Oh, man. After this chapter has to do a commercial break, but anyway, of my IBM PC clones, Microsoft rose from the small player to one of the major software vendors in the home computer industry with the release of Microsoft Mouse on May 1st, 2nd, 1983. Microsoft continued to expand its product lines in other markets. This expanded, including Microsoft Press, a book publishing division, on July 11th that same year, which debuted with 2 titles exploring the IBM PC Junior home computer by Peter Norton, and the Apple Microsoft book, by Kari Alu. When we come back, we'll do the rest of Microsoft, and we'll do one more thing. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Stay tuned. Welcome back to QWERTY, and we're going to get back to this reading source. So there you go in that, folks. And I am now in the breath, so there you go. Anyway, 1985 to 1984, Windows Ed Office. Ireland became home to one of the Microsoft's international production facilities in 1985. And on November 20th, Microsoft released the first retail version of Microsoft Windows. Windows 1.0. Okay, that's cool enough. Richard graphical edition for its MS-DOS, okay, operation system. In August, Microsoft and IBM partnered with in the development of the operating system of an OS2. Different about OS back in the old days, but whatever, the early 2000s, but whatever. OS2 was marketed in connection with the new hardware design property of IBM. The PS2, on the other hand, on February 16th, 1986. Okay, I just misspoke, but anyway. Microsoft relocated their headquarters to the corporate office campus of Remastered, Washington. Around 1 month later, on March 13th, the company went to public with the IPO, raising $61 million at US dollars of $21 per share. Wow. At the end of the trading day, the price is raising up $28 per share. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, that's cool enough. In 1987, Microsoft eventually released their first version of OS2, the OBEMs. Wow. Whatever that stands for. By the company was by then the company was the world's largest producer. I can't remember myself, excuse me. But was the world's largest producer of software for personal computers. Wow. I had a former leader, religious development. Okay then. And published the 3 most popular Macintosh business applications. That year, the company purchased Fortify, the developer of PowerPoint, and Microsoft's first major acquired edition of July 30, 1987. Okay? If you watch this remix. Meanwhile, Microsoft began introducing its first most prominent Office product. It's called Microsoft Works. Love it. An interface Office program, which combine features probably found at the word processor called Word, spreadsheet database, and other Office applications. So in the first release, the application for the first Apple Macintosh, which I love the most, out the end of 1986. Microsoft Works, wow, this is cool. Love Microsoft, but anyway. But they ended in 2009. Are you kidding me? will later be sold within the Microsoft products and to Microsoft Word. Wow. And Microsoft Bookshelf. This is cool. I love Microsoft Bookshelf. Let me see. Oh, I see what's gone. But anyway. In reference to the collection introduced in 1987, that was the company's first CD-ROM product. Okay? Later on August 8th, 1989, Microsoft introduced its most successful Office product, Microsoft Office. Okay? Unlike the Microsoft Works product models, Microsoft Office is a model of separate Office predominantly in applications, such as Microsoft Word, Excel, and so forth, which I love Excel. That gave me the different jobs. While Microsoft Word, Office were mostly developed in an entry where you pronounce that word. Microsoft also continued its trend of rebranding products and other companies such as Microsoft SQL Server on January 13, 1988, original database management system for companies that were based on technology licensed with Sandbase. On May 22nd, 1990, Microsoft launched Windows 3.0. Wow. The new version of Microsoft operating system boasted with new features such as streamline graphic interface GUI and improved protected mode ability with the Intel 386 processor. It's over 100,000 copies in 2 weeks. Windows at the time generated more revenue from Microsoft and OS2, and the company decided to move more resources from OS2 to Windows. Okay then. In the initial memo to Microsoft employees on May 16th, 1991, Bill Gates announced that OS2 partnership was over. Are you joking me? And that Microsoft would henceforth focus for its platform's efforts on Windows and the Windows NT kernel. Wow. Some people, especially developers who were ignored at Windows and commented that most of their resources of OS2 was taken by surprise. And essentially Microsoft accused Microsoft of suppression. Wow. That changeover from OS2 was frequently referred to the initially as a head fake. Wow. Real. But anyway, in the recent years, the penetration of OS2 declined, and Windows quickly became the favorite PC platform. 1981 was also marked the founding of Microsoft Research, the organization of Microsoft for researching computer science subjects, and Microsoft Visual Basic, proper development product for core companies and individuals. During the transition from MS-DOS to Windows, the success of Microsoft products, Microsoft Office, allowed the company to gain ground in application software competitors such as WordPerfect and Lotto's 1-2-3. Wow. Novo and an owner of WordPerfect for the time, a deal that Microsoft was using then inside knowledge for the DOS and Windows is kernel and then a document and application programming interface featured from the make Office perform better than its competitors. Eventually, Microsoft Office became the document business suite, with a market share far exceeding that of its competitors. In March of 1992, Microsoft released Windows 3.1 along with its first promotion campaign on TV. Wow. The software sold for 3 million copies in its first 2 months in the market. In October, Windows for Workgroups 3.1 was released with integrated networking and abilities such as peer-to-peer, file, and printing sharing. In November of that year, Microsoft released the first basic version of the popular database software called Microsoft Access. By 1993, on the other hand, Windows had become the most widely used GUI operating system in the world. Wow. Fortune magazine named Microsoft as the 1993 most immaculate company operation in the U.S. The year is also marked the end of the 5-year copyright infringement legal case brought by Apple Computer. Are you that stupid, Microsoft? But anyway, the Apple Computer Incorporated to Microsoft Incorporated. Hello, Microsoft. That was you're absolutely wrong. Anyway, Apple's did the right thing, but seriously. But anyway, which is ruled in Apple's favor, Microsoft's favor. Microsoft also released I misspoke. But anyway. Microsoft also released Windows for Workgroups 3.11. Yeah. And a new version for servers in the line of Windows and Windows NT 3.1. Yeah. That I misspoke. Because I said the last line over here, but not the other lines over here. But anyway. A server-based operating system with a similar user interface to secure similar versions of this operating system, but with an entirely different kernel. As part of its strangely divided business, Microsoft released Microsoft Encarta on March 22nd, 1983, the first encyclopedia designed to run on a computer. Soon after, the Microsoft Home brand was introduced, a company comprising Microsoft new multimedia application for Windows 3.x. Microsoft changed its slogan to "Where do you want to go today?" in 1994, as part of the attempt to appeal to non-technical audiences, and then $100 million average campaign. Wow, that's a lot of money. In 1995 and 2007, with Foray the Wish, Windows 95, Windows XP, and Xbox. Now, Microsoft continued to make strategic decisions directly to consumers. The company released Microsoft Bob. I did not know that. A graphic user interface designed with never computer interfaces in March of that year, 95, the year I was born. The interface was discontinued in 1996 due to poor sales. Bill Gates later attributed by its failure to hardware requirements that were too high for tablet computers. It was widely regarded as one of Microsoft's most unsuccessful products. DreamWorks, the company name for the movies that I've had to work on. So DreamWorks, that founded by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, that made Disney so famous until The Lion King came out. All of a sudden, he did a deal for Pixar, Whoop-de-Doo, and David Geffen founded DreamWorks, and he did an animation division back then. And Microsoft formed a new company named DreamWorks Interactive in 2000, acquired by Electronics Arts, which named it EA Los Angeles. Wow. To produce interactive multimedia entertainment properties. Yeah, I have a notification from Facebook, but anyway. On August 24th, 1995, Microsoft released Windows 95, a new version of the company's flagship operating system, which featured the completely new user interface, including novel Start button. Wow. More than 1 million copies were sold in the first 4 days after its release. Wow. Windows 95 was released without a web browser. Oh man. As Microsoft has not yet developed one. Says a web card buys supplies. And then subsequently approached Spyglass, utilizing the web browser as Internet Explorer. What is Spyglass? Oh, it's Spyglass Incorporated. I thought it was a Spyglass Incorporated. Spyglass Entertainment that's now devolved to 2013, but anyway. Spyglass went on to later dispute the terms of the agreement as Microsoft was to pay a royalty in every copy sold. Wow. However, Microsoft was said no copies of Internet Explorer, which is now known as Edge, Microsoft Edge nowadays, but anyway. Choosing instead to bundle it's free with its operating systems, but anyway. Internet Explorer was the person included with the Windows 95 Plus pack that was first released in August of that same year. Wow. In September, the Chinese government chose Windows to be the operating system of choice in that country. And entered into an agreement with a company that standardized a Chinese version of the operating system. Wow. Microsoft also released the Microsoft Skyward 3D Pro. Wow. Joystick. And then, attempt to further expand its profile in the computer hardware market. Okay. On May 26, 1995, Bill Gates sent an airtail wave Miriam to Microsoft executives. The memo described Netscape with the Netscape Navigator as new compare border the internet. The memo outlined Microsoft's failure to grasp the internet's approaches and its gates designed the internet and the highest level of approach from then on. Microsoft began to expand its products in the computer networking and the World Wide Web. Wow, this is cool. Wait, who was founded by? Okay, World Wide Web is founded by that company. Okay, I'm not sure what company that's from. August 24th, that same year, that day was another day, it launched its major outline services, Microsoft Network, MSN for short. As a direct competitor to AOL, which I loved AOL as a kid, but anyway. Microsoft Network become an umbrella service for Microsoft Online Services using Microsoft Passport, now call it Microsoft Account, and as a universal login system for all its websites. The company continued to branch out into new markets in 1996, started with a joint venture with NBC to create a new 24-hour cable news network called MSNBC. Wow. This is cool. The station was launched on July 15th, 1996 to compete with similar news outlets such as CNN. Microsoft also launched Slate, an online magazine edited by Michael Kinsley, which offered pleasure and social community alongside with cartoon Doonesbury. Wow. And an attempt to extend what you call it. It's reached the external market. The company acquired Web TV, which enabled consumer to access the web for the televisions, computers. Wow. Microsoft, excuse me. Enter the professional digital assessment PDA market in November of that year with Windows C 1.0. a new built from scratch version of the flagship operating system. Wow. Designed to run row of memory, well-performance machines such as Halos and other small computers. 96 release of Windows 9 NT 4.0, which brought the Windows 95 GUI and Windows NT kernel together. Wow, this is cool. While Microsoft largely failed to participate in the rise of Internet in the early 1990s, some of the key technologies as which the company had invested to enter the Internet market started to pay off in the mid-90s. Wow, this is cool. One of the most prominent of these was ActiveX, an applications program interface built on the Microsoft Component Object Model. COM, that's what it stands for. This enabled Microsoft and other, whatever that means, to implement controls in many programming languages, including the company's own scripting languages, such as JScript, now it's JavaScript, and VB script. ActiveX included frameworks for documents and for server solutions. The company also released the Microsoft SQL Server 6.5, which had built-in support for internet applications. In November of '96, Microsoft Office 97 was released, which is the first version to include Microsoft Office Assistant, which is cool. In '97, Internet Explorer 4.0 was released, marking the beginning of the takeover of the big browser market with rival Netscape. But by agreement with Apple Computer, which is I think is awesome, Internet Explorer was bundled with the Apple Macintosh operating system as well as with my Windows. Wow. Windows CE 2.0, the handheld version of Windows, was released the following year, including a host of bug fix, which is stupid, and new features designed to make it more appealing to corporate customers. In October of that year, the Justice Department filed a motion in the Federal District Court in which they stated that Microsoft has violated an agreement signed in '94 and asked the court to stop the bundling of Internet Explorer with Windows. Agreed, but doesn't make any sense to me, but this is awesome. Yay! Good job. Anyway. The year 98 was specifically in Microsoft history, with Bill Gates appointing Steve Ballmer as president of Microsoft, but remained as chair and CEO himself. The company released an update to the consumer version of Windows 98. Windows 98 became the Internet Explorer 4.0 SP1, which had Windows Desktop Update bundled, and including its new features from Windows 95 OSR 2.x, including the FAT32 file system, and new features designed for Windows 98, such as the support for multiple displays. Microsoft launched its Indian headquarters as well, which would eventually became the company's second largest in the U.S. headquarters. Yay! Good job. Finally, a great deal of controversy took place when a set of international memos from the companies were leaked of the internet, which is cool enough. These documents are commonly referred to as the Halloween documents. Cool enough. When Huawei reported by the media and went into the detail of threats that free software, open source system software, posted to Microsoft's own software. Previously, voiced mainly by analysts and Logic, way to pronounce it, of open source software. The documents also avoid legal and other actions such as Linux, as well as other open source software. While Microsoft acknowledged documents, it claimed they have a emergently emerging studies. Despite this, some believe that these studies were used in the real strategies of the company. Microsoft in 2000, on the other hand, released new products in the all three lines of the company's flagship operating systems, all saw the beginning and the end of one of the most promising legal cases. On February 17th of 2000, Microsoft released an updated version with the business line of the software called Windows 2000. It provided a high level, subtly similar to that of its Unix PowerPoint. Due to the usage of the Windows NT kernel, is matching features found that the consumer lines in the Windows operating system, including a DOS emulator that could run many legacy DOS applications. On April 1st, 2000, a judgment was handed down in the case of the United States versus Microsoft Corp, calling the company an individual monopoly. Thank God. And forcing the company to split into two separate units. Part of the ruling was later overturned by the Federal Appeals Court and eventually settled with the U.S. Department of Justice in 2001. Good job. On June 15th, 2000, the company released a new version of its handheld operating system, Windows CE 3.0. The main change was the new appropriation APIs of its software. Previous versions of Windows CE supported only small subjects of the Win API, main development library of Windows, and with version 3 of CE, operating systems now support with nearly all the core functionality of the Win API. Next update was the consumer line of Me, which is Windows Modernization Edition, which released on September 14th, 2000. Now, I haven't got the Me because that's not a good idea to make me see the Me. My dad got a Windows 2000, which is awesome. But anyway, it supports several new features such as advanced multimedia abilities and consumer operational PC monitoring options. But it often regarded as one of the worst versions of Windows due to the battery problems, restricted real mode DOS support, and other issues. Good. Microsoft released Windows XP and Office XP in 2001, a version that aimed to accomplish the features of both its business and home product lines. The release included an updated version of Windows 2000 kernel and chanted the DOS emulated application I misspoke, and many of the home interface features found in previous consumer versions. XP introduced a new collaborative user interface. The first such change used since Windows 95. The operating system was the first to require Microsoft product innovation, an anti-piracy regulation that requires users to evaluate their software to Microsoft within 30 days. Are you joking me? Later, Microsoft was in the multi-billion-dollar game console market, dominated by Sony and Nintendo, which released the Xbox. The Xbox finished it beyond the dominant PS2, selling 24 million units, compared to 155 million overall. However, they managed to outsell the GameCube, which is sold 21 million units, which that was bad. Microsoft launched their second console, the Xbox 360, in 2005, which had turned out to be a lot more successful than it was in the first console. It had sold 440 million units, and that's in 2010, and outsold Sony's PS3, which has so far sold 35 million units. However, despite being Sony, the last Xbox console, Microsoft so far being outsold by the Wii, which is cool. Which the users introduced constant control and open up a new market for video games, called off. Microsoft later used for their popular control-free Kinect pterodactyl, which is cool, to increase the popularity of the Xbox. This is very successful. As 2011 Kinect was practiced selling consuming electronics product called off its history. It sold 8 million units from November 4th, 2010 to January 1st, 2011, its first 60 days. It averaged 143,333 units per day. Wow. That's on the iPhone and iPad, which I love very much. Upper acquisition post-launch periods. In 2002, Microsoft launched the .NET Innovate, along the new versions of some of the development products, such as Microsoft Visual Studio, and initiates has been quality new development API, Windows programming, including the new programming language such as C, pip, number, dot, what do you call that one? Windows Servers 2003 was launched. That was a long word, but anyway. C number, but anyway. Featured and enchanted operation abilities such as new user interfaces to server tools. 2004, the company released Windows XP Media Center Edition in 2005. A server version of Windows XP designed for multimedia abilities. A Windows XP Star Edition. Version of Windows XP with small features designed for entry level commissioners. However, Microsoft incurred more turmoil about March 2004 when antitrust legal action would be brought intense by its European Union, but allegedly abusing its market demonstrates. See, Microsoft Corp versus Combination. This is stupid. Why? I mean, how do you deal up with that? Eventually, Microsoft was fined $497 million. What do you call this one? $613 million US dollars. Wow. Or the guys concerned product tools to competitors, and to produce a new version of Windows XP platform called Windows XP Home Edition N. That did not include the Windows Media Maker. Wow. That was not cool at all. Microsoft was also ordered to produce several packages of Windows. Wow. after South Korea was also in a settlement against the company in 2005. It also had paid out $32 million and produced more than one version of Windows for the country. And the same vein was also European Union, one from Windows Media Player and Windows Messenger, and one about the Purdue programs. It guides to competing with one of the internet companies such as a server search service Google in 2005. Microsoft announced a new version of MSN search service. Wow. Later in 2006, this company launched Microsoft Ad Center, a service that offers paid per check advertisements in its effort to develop their search marketing revenue. Soon afterwards, Microsoft created the Codeplex cooperative development site for hosting open source projects. Activity grew quickly as developers from around the globe began to participate, wouldn't pronounce that word. And by early 2007, commercial open source companies such as Artist Corp began to offer enterprise open source software exclusively of the Microsoft Pro platform. On June 15th, 2006, Bill Gates announced his plans for a 2-year transition period out for a day role with Microsoft until July 1st, 2008. After that date, Bill Gates will continue in his role as that company's chairman, head of the boards and directors, and acting as an advisor on his key projects. Good. His role as chief software archivist will be followed immediately by Ray Ozzie, the chief technical officer of the company as of June 15, 2006. Bill Gates stated, "My announcement is not retirement. It was a reordering of priorities." Not a good idea, but anyway. 2007 to 2011, which is okay. Microsoft Azure, Windows Vista, Windows 7, and Microsoft Stores. Okay. Formerly codenamed Longhorn, in the development early stages, Windows Vista was released into consumers on January 30th, 2007. Microsoft also released a new version of Office Suite called Microsoft Office 2007 alongside Windows Vista, Windows Server 2008, and Visual Studio 2008. The next version of the company's server operating system and the development suite respectively were released on February 27th, 2008. Windows Vista was criticized by being heavily and needed large amounts of power to run the desktop widgets and the arrow beam. Many people continue to use XP for many years now after, due to expiry and low processing needs. On December 19, 2007, Microsoft signed a 5-year, $500 million contract with Viacom that included content sharing and advertisements. The deal allowed Microsoft to license many shows from Viacom-owned cable company, cable television, film studios that use on Xbox Live and MSN. Well, I was going to upload these to YouTube, which is not a good idea, but anyway. The deal also made Viacom a preferred publisher partner that casual game development and distributed through MSN and Windows. On the advertisement side of the deal, Microsoft ad service division became the exclusive provider of previously unsold advertising industry of Viacom owns websites. Wow. I'm speechless. Microsoft also purchased a large amount of advertising on Viacom on broadcast and online networks. Okay, it collaborated with coordination and sponsorship of MTV and BET award shows, two Viacom-owned cable networks. Okay, in 2008, Microsoft wanted to purchase Yahoo, first completely layered proprietary, in order to strain its promotion of a strain itch in the market's vast Google. The company rejected the offer, saying that it was underwhelming the company. In response, Microsoft withdrew its offer. In 2009, the opening show of the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, was hosted by Steve Ballmer for the first time. In the past years, it was hosted by Bill Gates. During the show, Ballmer announced the first public beta test of Windows 7 for partners and developers on January 8th, but also with the general public 2 days later. On June 26th, which is 2 days before I turned 14 at the time, Microsoft started taking pre-orders and discounted price of Windows 7, which launched on October 22nd, 2009. Windows 7 had several editions, which now it's the rise of MacBook computers with reduced processing power. On April 12, 2010, Microsoft launched their Kin phone line, a result of their acquisition of Danger Incorporated in 2008. The phones became available on May 14, 2010, was discontinued within 2 months before the poor sales. On May 10, 2011, the company acquired Skype Technologies for a US of $8.5 billion. Wow. That's a lot of money. Following the release of Windows Phone, because I have to read this, 2011, 2014, Windows 8, Xbox One, Outlook.com, and service devices. Anyway, Microsoft underwent a gradual rebranding of its product range throughout 2011 and 2012. Corporations' logos, products, and services and websites are adopted as principles of concept of the natural design languages, which is cool. Microsoft went preview Windows 8, an operating system designed to power both personal computers and tablet computers, and completely in June 2011. The developer preview was released on September 13th and was replaced by computer preview on February 29th, 2012. On May 21st, 2012, the preview version was released. On June 18th, 2012, Microsoft interviewed the service, the first computer in the company's history to have a hardware made by Microsoft. On June 25th, Microsoft paid $1.2 billion to buy a social network called Yammer. On July 31st, 2012, Microsoft launched the Outlook webmail service to compete with Gmail. Wow. On September 4th, 2012, Microsoft released the Windows Server 2012. In July of 2012, Microsoft sold its 50% stake in MSNBC.com, what we call it, pronounce it. Excuse me, but anyway, MSNBC.com. But anyway, which has run the joint service with NBC since 1996. On October 1st, Microsoft announced its intentions to launch a news operations program with the new look MSN. When the time is Windows 8 launch, which later in the month. Okay, let me just see the new logo. Okay, never mind. On October 26, 2012, Microsoft launched Windows 8 and the Microsoft service. 3 days later, Windows Phone 8 was launched. To cope the potential for the increase in demand for products and services, Microsoft opened a new number of holiday stores across the U.S. to accommodate and increase the number of bricks and mortar. Way you pronounce it. Microsoft stores that opened in 2012. In March 29, 2013, Microsoft launched a paint tracker. The Kinect motion standard input device that made by Microsoft and designed a video game controller was first introduced in November 2010 and was upgraded by 2015 release in the 8th generation Xbox One video game console. Kinect compatible with were available in May 2013, where the new Kinect used an ultra-wide 1080p camera, which can function in the dark to operate center and device higher-end pair-matching power in the new software. Can distinguish both between fine movements, such as advanced movements, and can determine a user's heart rate looking at his or her face. Microsoft filed patient application 2011 that suggests that the corporation may be used in the Kinect camera system to monitor the behavior of the television viewers. And part of the plan is to make the viewing experience more interactive. On July 19, 2013, Microsoft stocks suffered its biggest one-day percentage sell-off since the year 2000 after its first quarter report raised concerns among the investors of the poor sales in both Windows 8 and Service tablets, with more than 11 percentage points decline. Microsoft suffered a loss of more than $42 billion. That's a lot of money. For the 2010 fiscal year, Microsoft had 5 products division: Windows division, Service and Tools, Office Service division, Microsoft Business division, and Airdate Devices division. Wow. On September 3rd, 2013, Microsoft agreed to buy Nokia's mobile unit of $7 billion. Also in 2013, Emmett Hood became CFO of Microsoft, and the evidence of for affordable internet A4AI was launched in October 2013. And Microsoft was part of the condition of public and private organizations that includes Facebook, Intel, and Google, led by WWW, which inventors like Tim Berners-Lee. The A4AI seeks to make internet access more affordable, so that investment the born in the development world, where the 31% of people are online. Google will help decrease internet access prices, so that way they can fall before the UN broadband conventions. Worldwide target 5% of monthly income, which is good. In line with the modern PC business, in July 2013, Microsoft announced that it can regionalize the business into 4 new businesses divisions by functioning: operating system, apps, cloud, and devices. Wow. Operating divisions were divided into new divisions without any workforce cuts. Well, this is cool. I mean, until they have to do something stupid, I guess. On February 4th, 2014, Steve Ballmer stepped down as CEO of Microsoft. Are you joking me? And was succeeded by Satya Nadella, who previously led Microsoft Cloud Enterprise Division. On that same day, John W. Thompson took over the role as chairman, with Bill Gates stepping down from the position, while continuing to participate in the technology advisor. On April 25th, 2014, Microsoft acquires Nokia Devices and Services for $7.2 billion. The new security was renamed Microsoft Mobile Oi. In May 2016, the company announced that it was lay off 1,850 workers. Are you kidding me? Taking employment and structure charge of $950 million. During the previous summer of 2015, the company worked on down $7.6 billion related to its mobile phone business and fired 7,800 employees when there was some operations. You gotta be joking me. On September 15, 2014, Microsoft acquired the video game development company called Mojang, best known as a widely popular flagship game called Minecraft, for $2.5 billion. Wow. See, I did not know that. On January 21st, 2015, Microsoft announced the release of their first interactive whiteboard, and this is cool. I did not know they have a whiteboard, but that is awesome. Microsoft Service Hub, part of the Service Family, and on July 29, 2015, here comes a stupid big one. Microsoft released the next version of Windows operating system called the Windows 10. Boring! The successor to Windows Phone 8.1, Windows 10 Mobile, and it was released on September 20th, 2015. In Q1 2015, the Microsoft was the third largest. Oh no, you gotta be kidding me. I was gonna read that, and all of a sudden I was gonna finish reading that, and all of a sudden you suddenly gonna make it up. Hang on, folks. I got a difficulty here. Stand by. Sorry about that, folks. I'm trying to get this out of the way, and then all of a sudden, it's quit automatically. Dang it. Seems slow to start. Well, it's not even slow. I'm trying to make a video, and you all of a sudden just say slow. But anyway, can we please continue on? Thank you. Anyway, in Q1 2015, Microsoft was the first largest maker on mobile phones, selling 34.3 million units, 7.2% of all. You gotta be joking me. While a large majority of 75% of them do not run any version of Windows Phone. Joking me at the most. Most other phones are not categorized as smartphones by Gartner. In that same time frame, 8 million Windows smartphones, 2.5% of all smartphones, will remain of all manufacturers, but mostly by Microsoft. Okay, that's fine. Microsoft's share of the U.S. smartphone market in January 2016 was 2.7%. This is great. Great. Oh, okay. But anyway, on March 12th, 2016, Microsoft announced the merge of its PC and Xbox divisions, with Phil Spencer announcing that Universal Windows Platform, UWP, excuse me, apps will be the focus on. Yeah, sorry, you're gonna see my tummy, but anyway. for Microsoft's gaming in the future. Okay. In June 2016, Microsoft announced a project named Microsoft Azure. Okay, cool enough. Information protection. It aims to help enterprises protect their data as it moves between servers and the devices. Cool enough. The server sampling is Windows 10. Stupid idea. And Windows Servers 2016, worst idea ever, but whatever. Was released in September 2016. In November 2016, Microsoft joined the Linux Foundation. How stupid are you? But anyway, as a platinum member of the Microsoft Connect developers event in New York City. Wow. The cost of each platinum membership is $500,000 each per year. Wow. Some amount of this deemed to unthinkable 10 years prior. However, 2001, then CEO Steve Ballmer called Linux cancer. I agree with that guy. I call Apple good. But anyway, on January 24th, 2017, Microsoft showcased iTunes for Education at the BETT 2017 Education Technology Conference in London. iTunes for Education is a new cloud-based application device management service for the education sector. Microsoft will launch the preview for iTunes and for education in the next upcoming weeks. For January, availability scheduled for spring 2017. Wow. Price at $30 per device. Wow. And full volume licensing agreements. On June 8th, 2013, Microsoft acquired Hexable and the Israel surgery firm for $100 million. That's a lot of money. On August 2018, Toyota Israel began a partnership with Microsoft to create fish farming tools using a Microsoft Azure application suite of IoT technologies labeled to water management. Developed part by researchers from Kennedy University, the water pump mechanisms use a viral intelligence games, where you pronounce this word, to count the numbers of fish on the continental belt. What do you pronounce it? Analyze the number of fish. Okay. And does those the effect is of water flow for the data the fish provide. The subcase computer programs used in the process follow using the author's machine learn and the author IoT hub platforms. On October 8th, 2017, Joe Barfour announced that it works in Windows 10 Mobile, withdrawing to close due to the lack of market penetration. Yay! Good job. And the result is lack of interest of app developers. Yay! Again, good job. October 10th, 2018, Microsoft joined with Open Vision Network community despite the holding more than 60,000 patrons. On October 16th, 2018, Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, passed away after completion of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is shocking for Paul to see that. On November 2018, Microsoft agreed to supply 100,000 HoloLens headsets to the United States military in order to increase military by enchanting the ability to detect, decide, and engage before the enemy. In December 2018, Microsoft announced Project Move, an open source released on the UEFI core using Microsoft Service and Hyper-V products. The project promotes the idea of firmware as a service. In the same month, Microsoft announced the open source implementation of the Windows Forms and the Windows Presentation Foundation. This is cool, WPF, but anyway, which will allow for forward movement of the company towards the transparent release of the key frameworks using the development Windows desktop and application and software. December also saw the company discontinue the yay! Good job, Microsoft Edge. Good job. If they were criticism back into their browsers. Okay, that's cool enough. In January 2019, Microsoft announced that support for Windows 10 Mobile will end on December. Yay! Good job. Anyway, in that Windows 10 Mobile users should migrate with iOS and Android phones. Okay, what are you gonna say? And on February 20th, 2019, Microsoft Corporation said it will offer its cybersecurity service called Account Guard to 12 new markets in Europe, including Germany, France, and Spain, to close security gaps and protect consumer private space from hacking. Oh, that's cool. In that same month, hundreds of Microsoft employees protected the company with war profanity for a $480 million contract to develop VR headsets for his U.S. Army. Wow, this is a lot. So, I felt sorry for Paul Allen, who passed away. So, I'll talk about that on Fridays with J625 episode 265, coming out sometime tomorrow. But that'll be another time. So, there you go. But anyways, when we come back, we'll do the last scene and the last chapter of this movie, and we'll wrap up the movie. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Stay tuned. Welcome back to QWERTY. Now it's time for the last chapter of this entire movie. Now, we haven't done this last movie since I talked about Apple and Microsoft, and it's been 10 days since I read you the Apple and Microsoft division story. Now, let's read you QWERTY in the 2020s. Now, this is the last chapter in our scene, and I have to talk about it because this is a feature of the typing scene called QWERTY. Now, it's been typing me on the keyboard since the 1860s to now, and I love it to this day because I love to type since I was born. So there you go. So here's the last chapter of this book. Movie, and I'll have a wrap up ASAP. So there you go. Let's begin. Since Apple's success of the iPad OS this year, though it's gonna be exciting right there, and Android OS became the hit this year. Well, that was I haven't seen Android S, but I've seen iPad OS. That one is amazing. Well, you can see, oh yeah, it was upside down. Well, you can see the apps you can see here. So there you go. Where was I? Okay. I didn't know where I was at, but that's why I was just writing the script, so there you go. Anyway, the future of technology is smart TVs. Oh, I was clapping, but anyway. I've been focusing this film you are about to see, yeah, I misspoke, excuse me, in nearly a decade now, and between its success, Bluetooth was successful. And that caused me a lot of stress. And that's the reason why I made a lot of projects lately. So there you go. And things changed when wired headphones, which is never been to happen anymore. When they decided to get rid of them. Though it just, well, here's the thing about wired headphones. The first thing I had wired headphones was in the late 90s. Here was the plug-in. And the new iPad mini, the 5th generation. And this one, I'm going to show you right now, is the headphone, the wired one. Now, I got 2 or 3 broken Bluetooth headphones from, I'm not sure what it was yet, but these are the wired headphones. So, all you get was the headphones you got years ago. So that was it. So, there you go. Nice on notifications. Just ignore that. But anyway. Bus ends the wired connection to make videos with. Though it doesn't end it right there. I have the Mac Mini with me. I have the iPad Mini with me. I have everything, which is good. There's also got rid of iTunes iTunes Store this year. Not all the way through, because I have iTunes Store on my iPad, which is good. Using the Mac OS and the 32 bandwidths on my part. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't a 32 bits on happening from that and now it's giving me 64 bits. I've written that in the script, so that's why it gave me huge bits. So when I decided to take my Friday show back in early this month, my microphone decided to not work anymore. So that is the reason why I have been trying to figure out what's going on between me and then my co-host, Dave 3000, if he's watching this now. And that's the reason why I had to focus on more energy for me. So, there you go. However, there was still delays on OpenMU on my Mac Mini. Now, what happened was, I tried to get Wheel of Fortune, the Sega CD, to work, especially Invitation Run the NES, but it didn't work because I did not get a chance to play these games on the NES or Sega CD or any type of gaming system for the OpenMU system because it did not respond, unfortunately. That's the problem, so there you go. So that's why I've delayed the shows I've worked on until further notice. The Slingo Show, Luke J's Tour 95, the Warbird Show, and some of the shows I created were delayed because of delays and they have difficulties, so that's why I have problems with it. But things don't seem right for this car company's success. And the thing is that I have no idea what to do. I have to make LHBM right, and I have to read that. And the thing is that I have to make LHBM a success for me. And basically what the problem was is VidBox, so I have to dub tapes. And fortunately that didn't run in 64-bit. That's the problem. When they decided to get the update from macOS Mojave to Catalina. Now, my mom called Apple. care, because that's the reason why I called it from the successful ways of calling it, and get ready to call it from downloadable from the software that got me into successful ways called QWERTY. And all of a sudden, it did not show up Steam nor another software that I used called VidBox at the time. That was another problem. And I tried to open up OpenMU, but it did not respond. Nor did Single Supreme, nor any other apps. Thanks a lot, apps. But anyway, I have to continue on because I can't read it anymore. But anyway, there were some major changes in these videos on my Vimeo account. And that was good enough as well. Because it'll be good for making videos like this. It's huge for me. So, and that was the reason why I make videos in development. Like, hey, let's just make the Jeff Crick a success. Let's make another show a success. Apps in Space. But the problem is, there's no way I can make VidMe another way it may happen. So I have Vimeo in the lineup. So that's why, if you watch this remix, there's no way to make another show to replace Apps in Space, sadly, which is not a good idea. But anyway. However, this may change to the late 2020s. That's a good idea. So that's the way I can figure out where the classic eligible content were and the other eligible stuff were. So there you go. I hope this gets better as much as I get with a technician and filmmaker. I wanted to keep making progress in the works as well as edit projects and stuff more. And be a technician as a kid, as always be there as my heart as a kid, and as being a toddler, and as an adult, I still make videos and projects and other things like that for you guys out there. And that's a good thing. So that was QWERTY, and hope you enjoyed this movie. And it's been nearly a decade since I made this movie happen, so, and, yeah. This movie is made a decade old, so, I'm almost finished the movie. Now all I have to do is edit, and I will get it done. Now, for those of you who don't know, this movie is now, almost finished. I want to get this done, so, now before I get this done, I want to get ready for the doctor's appointment. So, I've started filming this on October 24th of this year. I want to get this released on the 25th. That way more easier for me to do it. That way it's a lot easier. So, there you go, folks. That wraps up for this movie. Hope you enjoy it. Now, you might excuse me. I gotta get my shoes on, back on, and get ready for my doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. But until next time, this is Jefferson. Goodbye. Peace out, baby. We get more movies and other stuff for you guys very soon. Buzzman Jefferson out. See ya.